Look no further. Try Bud Dry.
Recapping our lead stories here on ESPN, Bucky Dent fired as the Yankee manager today, replaced by Columbus skipper Stump Merrill. Merrill lost his Yankee debut 4-1 in Boston. Tight voting in the NHL's Hart Trophy honors. It was the league's MVP going to Mark Messier. He got the nod by 2 votes over Ray Bourque. Hockey handed out its hardware in Toronto. French Open, Andres Gomez and Thomas Muster won their quarterfinal matches, setting up a Friday semifinal match. Tomorrow morning, Jennifer Capriati meets Monica Seles in one women's semi. Steffi Graf meets Jana Novotná in the other. NBA news, Mike Krzyzewski of Duke, a second meeting with the Celtics to discuss with their coaching vacancy there. He met with Red Auerbach this time, and tonight in baseball, Detroit's Cecil Fielder did it again and again and again. 3 home runs in his first 3 at-bats in Cleveland. He walked in his 4th at-bat. Cecil now leads baseball with 22 home runs.
Second time this year, 3 dingers in a game. That's rather select company.
Not bad. Ted Williams did it. Willie Stargell did it as well.
Yeah. Learned something correctly in Japan. We are just about out of time. Time for the College World Series. Next up, Stanford and Georgia. The Cardinal coming in, facing possible elimination. We will see you tomorrow night, 11:30 Eastern Time. I'm Bob Lee.
I'm Dan Patrick. Ann Montgomery, Chris Fowler join you following the baseball game. Good evening.
Center is brought to you by Days Inns, Hotels, Suites, and Day Stocks, the best hotel values in the world. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when.
Just 6 days ago, 8 elite college baseball teams came to Omaha's Rosenblatt Stadium. Now, the situation changes. After 10 games of toil in Omaha, just 4 teams remain in this College World Series. Some have survived it well, their records unblemished, while others teeter on the brink of elimination, just 1 defeat away from following 4 others who have since departed. In yesterday's elimination game, Stanford finally turned on the fires that helped propel them to #1. Tonight, Cardinal ace Stan Spencer was to have helped them survive yet another day, but Mark Marquis has changes to make. After all, it was undefeated Georgia who bowled Stanford over with a 14-run thrashing in the second round. And back on opening night, ace Dave Fleming set the tone for the Dogs, and he will throw for Georgia tonight as they take on Stanford. You've heard the saying, haven't you? And then there were 4? Well, tonight in Game 11, you'll see 2 of the 4 remaining teams, the top-rated Cardinal of Stanford against the Georgia Bulldogs from Rosenblatt Stadium here in Omaha. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the College World Series on ESPN. I am Tim Brando. It certainly was a curious route the Georgia Bulldogs took to the College World Series out of the Northeast region, but they are here. Not only are they here, but they are now 1 game away from making it to the championship game, provided they get a victory tonight over Stanford. The Cardinal want to win just to survive for another day. It will be difficult for them, though, Larry Sorensen, because Stan Spencer was to have been their ace starter. He is not starting tonight.
That's a very tough blow for the Cardinal to put up with. What they have to guard against now is every player trying to take the entire burden upon himself. We had the chance earlier to talk to Coach Mark Marquis about the reason for the change.
Well, Stan Spencer played catch before we started batting practice tonight, and he felt a little pull in his rib cage. His arm's fine, but his rib cage felt a little twinge there, so we're going to hold him out tonight.
Brian Sakinski will be making the start. He's only a freshman, but he's had a great year for Stanford. He found out that he was going to pitch the ball game about an hour and a half before the game started. He'll have some nerves to put up with.
There's no question about that. When you stop and think, though, about the circumstances surrounding Dave Fleming, the starter for the Georgia Bulldogs, truly is remarkable the year he has had. And when he came to Omaha, his year was the same performance we saw just in 1 outing against Mississippi State.
He pitched a great ball game earlier in this series. He's got a tremendous curveball. You see him there with the left-hander. His problem will be he's got to face 8 right-handers in the Stanford lineup tonight. He needs to get that curveball over. You see, he had a great ball game earlier in this College World Series, struck out 10 guys and only walked 1.
You know, when you talk to many of the experts about this College World Series, Georgia really doesn't get a great deal of respect. They have quietly assumed the position of the favorite now because they're unbeaten.
Even Steve Weber said to us back at the hotel, you have to remember that Stanford is the #1 seed in this tournament, but the entire complexion of the game has changed because of the pitching change.
All right, we'll see what develops as Stanford takes on Georgia for a second time in the NCAA College World Series. We'll again have a capacity crowd on hand for yet another touch of Americana in the heartland. ESPN's presentation of the 1990 NCAA College World Series is brought to you by Daihatsu, since 1907, the small car specialist from Japan. And by O'Doul's non-alcoholic brew, brewed like a premium beer to taste like a premium beer. The Dogs and the Cardinal in Game 11 when we come back to Rosenblatt's.
Want great value for your money? Start with a great machine, a Craftsman.
Like this 12-horsepower Craftsman tractor with 40-inch mower deck and 6 speeds, just $11.99. Save $100.
And there's only one place to get it, Sears.
Daihatsu owners talk about Daihatsu from Japan.
When you can recommend a car to your best friend, you are driving the right car.
We're talking about style
And performance.
Japanese quality I can afford.
You get the same quality in Rocky, the wide track 4x4 by Daihatsu.
That zippy 4-cylinder fuel-injected engine really gets it around.
And Rocky has the widest wheel track in its class. Today, there's a Daihatsu that's just right for you. Daihatsu, one of the most respected names in Japan for over 80 years.
Once you hit 30, it's all over. Your legs are shot, your whole body goes to pot. Forget about sports entirely. You have to be serious all the time. You can't eat anything that tastes good. Creamed corn.
Who says you have to give up the things you like? Give up something you won't miss, like a little oil. Ruffles light, Cheetos light, Doritos light. Never give up the taste.
Weeds, no problem. Kill weeds and grasses, roots and all, with a shot of Roundup. For driveways, patios, fences. Make weeding easy with Roundup. Nothing kills weeds better.
It's time now to meet your Sears diehard starting lineups for tonight's Game 11. Head coach Mark Marquis of the Stanford Cardinal will open up this way. Out in center field, speed merchant Jeff Hammonds will lead it off for the Cardinal. Hitting second and playing second base, Troy Paulson out of Fountain Valley, California. Hitting third, the sophomore out of Houston, Texas, Dave McCarty. Hitting cleanup, Paul Carey. He's looking for his bat to warm up tonight. Hitting fifth is Ryan Turner. He'll be in the outfield out of Gunderson High School in San Jose. Troy Tolman will be behind the plate and hit in the sixth hole. Hitting seventh, the shortstop Roger Burnett from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Hitting eighth, Tim Griffin, mired in a deep slump in this College World Series. And Mike Eicher will be the designated hitter, playing for the injured David Holbrook.
Defensively for Georgia, in right field will be Bruce Chick. McKay Smith is the center fielder. The left fielder will be Ray Suplee, an outstanding freshman. He's got great physical tools. And the infield at third base will be Jeff Cooper. J.R. Showalter is the shortstop. Joey Alfonso is a second baseman that's been a spark plug for the Bulldogs. And Doug Rajevitz will be at first. Terry Childers is the catcher. And on the mound, 6'3", 210-pound Dave Fleming. The left-hander with a very smooth delivery from Mahopac, New York. Got an outstanding curveball. Very, very smooth delivery. One of the keys for him tonight will be the strike zone established by home plate umpire Bob Hernandez. We'll be keeping an eye on that because his curveball breaks so big. It can be a very difficult pitch for an umpire to call. Hernandez is known to have a liberal strike zone.
And you see Don January, Dick Runchie, and Hank Roundtree round out the men in blue. Now, another key factor in this game will be the wind. And for the first time, wouldn't you know it, we see it blowing towards us just a bit. Although it is right now leaning towards right field by 10 to 15 miles per hour with all those right-handers in that Stanford lineup. Many of those balls hit to right center field could be knocked down. The sun field is right field. It's been a major factor throughout the course of this College World Series. Bruce Chick is out there. He will have to battle it for the first couple of innings. Usually, the first 2 2/3 innings of the game, when it begins just past 7 o'clock Central Time, that is the most difficult time to deal with that sun. And you couple that with the wind, it truly has been an adventure in the outfield throughout the course of this 1990 College World Series. They're still filing in to watch this game. The top 3 hitters for Stanford have really been cool until their last outing. That's what they did against Mississippi State. Hammonds, Paulson, and McCarty picked it up, and that's why the Bulldogs of Mississippi State are gone, and the Cardinal are here to take on another set of Bulldogs from the Southeastern Conference in Game 11. Jeff Hammonds to lead it off against Fleming. If he gets on base, look out. Little chopper to second. Alfonso will take care of it. One away.
On Troy, you start us. Up in. On Troy, hunt out.
Stan Spencer in the dugout. Well, you know, he'd like to be out there. You know, he normally gets more than 5 days rest. Had he pitched in this game tonight, it would have been the least amount of time between starts that he would have had all year. That's rather surprising. Troy Paulson takes the ball outside.
Mark Marquis likes to space the starts out for his pitching staff, pitches them once a week. Tries to give them as much rest as possible to take care of their arms.
That fastball caught the outside corner at the knees.
Here's the smooth delivery, a classic left-hander. Reminds me a little bit of Frank Viola. He had an interesting comment this afternoon. He said that he thought he might throw some more four-seam fastballs or two-seam fastballs instead of four-seam fastballs today.
J.R. Showalter takes care of Paulson. 4 pitches, 2 outs. Not bad to start for Dave Fleming. He won't overpower you, although he did have those 10 Ks in that shutout victory against Mississippi State. And Dave McCarty comes up. McCarty out of Houston, Texas. As we showed you, along with Hammonds and Paulson, had a big day yesterday against Mississippi State. Ended that trend of the bottom of the orders for all teams providing most of the punch in this College World Series. When Stanford got on base, they moved him around. Now there's an indication of where the location may be, and that was a fastball. The location being that of Bob Hernandez behind the plate. Has a history of being a liberal umpire behind the plate. That one's grounded to third. Cooper makes the throw. All of the Georgia infield involved in the top half of the first inning as the Cardinal go up and down in order to open up Game 11 of this College World Series. Let's move to the bottom half of the first inning and get your Sears diehard starting lineup for the Georgia Bulldogs under head coach Steve Weber. Leading off and playing center field, McKay Smith out of Glen Ellen, Illinois. Hitting second, Jeff Cooper. He's had a pretty big series at the plate for the Bulldogs. Hitting third, J.R. Showalter, considered the most difficult out in this lineup. Hitting cleanup, Brian Chester out of Endicott, New York. He's the designated hitter. The right fielder is Bruce Chick out of St. Petersburg, Florida. And Doug Rajevitz will be over at first base out of Somerville, New Jersey, hitting sixth. The outstanding freshman Ray Suplee will be out in left field hitting in the seventh hole, while Terry Childers is the catcher out of Augusta, Georgia, hitting eighth. And hitting ninth, Joey Alfonso, who has certainly been the inspiration to this Bulldog team here in Omaha.
The Cardinal defensively, Paul Carey is in right field. The outstanding freshman Jeff Hammonds is in center. He was named an All-American earlier this week. Ryan Turner will be in left. The third baseman is Tim Griffin. Roger Burnett is an outstanding shortstop with great range. Troy Paulson will be at second base, and the first baseman will be Dave McCarty. Troy Tallman is behind the plate, and on the mound, Brian Sakinski, a freshman, 6'4", 205 pounds, from Library, Pennsylvania. He's a very, very good-looking prospect. He's 9-1 with a 5.45 ERA. Throws hard, about 90 miles an hour. Has a sharp, late-breaking curveball and also throws the split-finger pitch.
We should point out that Sikinski had been used most of this postseason as a stopper. Short inning work to close out a game for people like Stan Spencer. Now he'll have to go the full tilt. McKay Smith will lead it off for the Georgia Bulldogs. Look at that on-base percentage. Almost 100 points better than the batting average. Right back at Sikinski. Sikinski was hammered by this Georgia team in that 16-2 loss. Gave up 5 runs on 4 hits in that game. There you see the postseason work he's had overall. All of those runs coming against the Georgia Bulldogs. So they may be happy to see this freshman right-hander tonight.
Obviously, Sikinski just wanted to get a fastball over, try to get his nerves out of the way a little bit, so he threw the get-ahead fastball. McKay Smith didn't cooperate for him.
Jeff Cooper has a home run in this series.
Sikinski is a very sturdy young man. He's very emotional. He talks to himself while he's out there on the mound. You'll hear him grunting a little bit as he throws that fastball. Really gets into the game, and it's a big moment for him tonight. He only found out about 5:15 that he was going to pitch tonight. So it was quite an emotional time for him. We watched him going over the lineup with pitching coach Tom Dunton before the game, trying to get a little feel for the hitters that he would be facing.
3-1 the count, and if you're wondering about McKay Smith, only 4 stolen bases. This is not a team, and we've used the line over and over again in each of the Georgia games that we've had. This is not a team that loves to start runners, and the reason is simple. You look through the heart of the order, they've got a lot of home runs, a lot of power. They will check McKay Smith, though. 3-2 the count to Cooper. Bottom half of the first, 1 on, none out. You mentioned he's aggressive, and he talks to himself. He also tries to intimidate the batter. We caught that the other night.
He's got kind of a Goose Gossage scowl, Mark Marquis said. He tries to intimidate the hitters with some looks.
That move was pretty quick over there to McKay Smith. And they check him again. But it's served into right. As all of the effects of a hit and run, and runners are at the corners for Georgia. First and third with no one out.
.91 miles an hour, but not in a good spot, right down the middle. He doesn't try to pull the fastball. He knows that he throws hard, so Cooper takes the ball into right field, and Sikinski's in big trouble early.
Mark Marquis had a major decision to make once he found out that Spencer could not start this game, and he rolled the dice a bit against Mississippi State when he started Reed. Mississippi State had their best out there he had his number 3 pitcher, all because he thought he'd have Spencer for this game. Here's J.R. Showalter.
Marquis also said that his thinking now was that he wants to get himself ready for the title game. That was his plan before Stan Spencer came up hurt. He said that he wanted to set things up much as LSU coach Kip Burtman did. Made the decision to go last night with Reed. Burtman also changed his staff around early in the series.
There's a strike. 1-1 to count to Showalter. You can hardly blame him for doing it. After all, he thought his team offensively would come through, and they did. And defensively, he's had one of the better teams in the country, and they made a number of double play balls yesterday to knock Mississippi State out. But he had no idea this would happen tonight to Spencer.
Spencer actually has been bothered by that for about a month. He loosened up enough to throw in the first ball game that Stanford played. I talked to Jim Lukinnon, the trainer for the Cardinal, and he said that it's a muscle problem in his rib cage area. He just couldn't get it loose. They've been using a stimulator on it, massage on it, heat on it for the past 2 days around the clock, and they haven't been able to get it loose.
Troy Tolman's going to come out now and talk with Sakinski. Let's face it, the truth is Georgia's a fastball hitting team, and they have hammered this freshman. He's only gotten 1 out, and he's thrown several pitches to this team. In lieu of that 16-2 loss to Steve Weber's club, and now he has failed to record an out, and Mark Marquis has seen a couple of base hits to start this game. The 3-1. That was ball 4 that was fouled away by Showalter. Fastball on the inside portion of the plate he really couldn't lay off.
3-1 count, and you want the ball like it's sitting on a batting tee in the area that you like to hit most. What Sakinski has to do is make sure that he doesn't overthrow. He's so pumped up, he's trying to throw the ball about 110 miles an hour.
Runners at the corners, and the 3-2. There goes Cooper, and the throw into center. Georgia leads as McKay Smith comes across, and Cooper's all the way over to third. They get the out at home plate.
Tallman airmails this throw. You see it even goes out of our picture into center field. It's important for this ball club to play well defensively behind Sakinski to give him a chance to possibly get away with a mistake or two. He slipped a little bit on home plate. He knows as soon as it leaves his hand, he knows he's in big trouble.
So Showalter goes down swinging, but Georgia does get a run, and they lead it by a score of 1-0 in the bottom of the first. Still, Sakinski not out of the jam. Brian Jester looks at a breaking ball outside, 1-0. Cooper still aboard at third.
You see Sakinski going to his breaking ball a little bit more in this situation. He's been going with the fastball, has gotten hurt by it. Stanford knows that if they're going to get any quality innings out of him, he's got to mix a couple of different pitches in. I talked with Tom Dutton before the game, and he said he needs to get either his breaking ball or his split finger over consistently.
Grounded to second. That'll score a run as Paulson throws out Justin. And the Dogs have 2 in the bottom half of the first. There's Tom Dutton, the longtime pitching coach of Mark Marquis over at Stanford.
He will call the pitches from the first base dugout, and I think he probably mixed in a couple of breaking balls there to try to show a little variety and establish that breaking pitch so that Georgia, which as you said, Tim, is a fastball hitting club, can't just wait for number 1.
Bruce Chick takes the fastball up and in, 1-0. Well, this is a great story. Chick, a young man that really manufactured himself into a good hitter, has tremendous work habits, and has worked his way into being drafted apparently by the Boston Red Sox in the 8th or 9th round. That's the word we have from the Georgia folks. And that one served into right for a base hit. And if you're wondering why we don't know 8th or 9th, it's because Major League Baseball does not let us know beyond the first round where a player is drafted. Bruce Chick has heard through the grapevine that he's been drafted by the Red Sox, and they have their own rule about not making contact with the players that go after the top couple of rounds.
Very tough thing for a college kid to go through when he's playing in these ball games and wondering about what the future holds for him. Spends a lot of sleepless nights thinking about it.
Here is Doug Rajevitz, the Georgia first baseman. Slapped into left center. That ball is not caught. Ryan Turner can't come up with it. And the Bulldogs keep going with the pitch and keep hammering the freshman. That's the 4th dog hit of the inning.
Sakinski's just throwing the ball right down the middle. He's not even thinking about getting the ball down in the strike zone, and no matter how hard you throw, you can't throw it by people. Turner got caught a little bit in between, and again, some poor defense there. He should have tried to play that ball on the first hop, either come in hard after it or take it on the first hop and keep runners at first and second.
Tom Dutton now with a decision to make. With Musina waiting in the wings, really the only choice Marquis might have had outside of Sakinski was Scott Weiss to start this ball game. And Marquis will now come out to talk with Sakinski and give his bullpen some time to heat up. 2 outs have been recorded, 4 hits for the Bulldogs, and 2 runs across. And that is Scott Weiss warming up in the bullpen. He's a junior out of Palmdale, California. This is an unusual position to ask a freshman to start, but they felt he was up to it, and there's no question this is an outstanding prospect for the future. But again, when you find out at the ballpark that you're going to pitch and you haven't planned on it, that man knows that it's not an easy chore for a man like Sakinski to handle. He knew it as well as anyone, but he really felt he had no other option.
It's a shot of the Stanford defense. They traditionally bunch their outfielders into the gaps. They leave a lot of the foul lines exposed and try to cut down the gaps, and in Rosenblatt, that's very important.
Ray Suplee takes a ball in the dirt. No movement by the Georgia runners.
They do have a great deal of confidence in Sakinski, though. They used him as their short man, and they had planned to use him in relief during this tournament. This is the 10th start that he's made this season, but he was designated for relief roles during this tournament.
Runners at the corners, 2 down, 2 have scored. We're in the bottom of the first. And the 1-0 pitch to Suplee. Chopper to third, handled by Griffin, and the throw is in time. So the freshman gets out of it, but not before the Dogs rough him up for a couple of runs on 4 hits. 2 were left. We move to the second. Georgia by 2.
I got the job.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, who told you about the National Business Employment Weekly? Who told you it has hundreds of high-paying jobs open all across the country? Professional, technical, managerial?
I thought I told you about it. How the articles help you get a job. Write sharper resumes. Have better interviews.
No. I told you, remember? How to get along with your boss, get a raise, get promoted.
Let me see. You told me about the great jobs in the National Business Employment Weekly.
And the help in landing them. And doing better on the job.
So I really owe my new job to you?
Well...
Thank you, sweetheart. I told him.
Get the National Business Employment Weekly at your newsstand, or order by credit card and get 8 issues by first-class mail for $35. Call 800-372-3000. 800-372-3000. The National Business Employment Weekly.
Don't make a career move without it.
2-0 our score. Georgia leading Stanford as we move to the top half of the second inning. I'm Tim Randall along with Larry Sorensen. Happy to have you with us. We have really enjoyed our stay here in Omaha. These two teams are hoping to enjoy their stay a little longer. The Georgia Bulldogs would love to move on to the championship game. They would earn that right by virtue of a victory tonight over Stanford. The Cardinals need a victory to hang on and play one more time. And if you're wondering, have they done it before this way? You bet they have. Both in 1987 and in 1988, when the format did change, they came through the losers bracket, fighting off 9 elimination games to repeat as national champions, as Paul Carey leads it off. Carey throws it over to Showalter, and Carey's woes continue at the plate. Dave Fleming will get a lot of ground balls if he's right. So far, he has 4 of them.
Pretty efficient pitching also. He's thrown 8 pitches and he's gotten 4 outs.
All ground ball outs. Ryan Turner. He's really been the hottest hitter the last month or so for Stanford. In fact, the numbers on him are augmented by the fact that he's hit .389 since the 15th game of the year. Mark Marquis told us he's had a career year. Finally got one up in the strike zone. He couldn't lay off it, and the count is 1-1. The dimensions here in spacious Rosenblatt Stadium: 343 down the lines, 370 in the power alleys. That's where most of the home runs have been hit, by the way. And 420 to straightaway center field. The 1-2 pitch.
That's a very, very big breaking ball. And what makes that breaking ball so effective is the pitch before it. He threw a fastball to the inside half against the right-hander. Very difficult for a left-hander to do. Fleming is very adept at it. And with 8 right-handers in the lineup, he's going to have to try to keep running that fastball into the right-handers to keep him honest. This is the big breaking curveball, breaking out of the strike zone. In his game against Mississippi State that we saw earlier, he got a lot of strikeouts on pitches that were out of the strike zone. And as he got into his rhythm, he kept going further and further and further, making the MSU hitters chase the ball.
Turner has run the count to full. Stanford already having to fight from behind against unbeaten Georgia in this College World Series. Again, the ground ball to Showalter at short. 5 up, 5 down. Beating the ball down. The base coaches for the Stanford Cardinal: Dean Stotts over at third. Kirk Mason will be at first base. Troy Tallman, the Stanford catcher. He puts that fastball too far away just to tantalize them. Good movement. Excellent location there.
The location is great. He throws a 4-seam fastball to get the ball into the right-handers because there's less movement on it. He'll throw the 2-seam fastball to get better action and run it away from the right-handers.
When we spoke with Dave earlier today, understandably he did not want to talk about the draft. but it is in the news. He was a third-round selection by the Seattle Mariners. Lifted into foul ground. Rogevich is over. Near the dugout, and he makes the catch. The Cardinal are gone in the top half of the second. Georgia cruising with their left-handed ace on the hill. He doesn't have them grounding out. He has them popping out. And he gets a little help from number 3.
If you want to take great care of your lawn, just remember a great name, Craftsman.
And right now, this Craftsman 2 power-propelled 4-horsepower mower with a 22-inch cut is just $288.
And there's only one place to get it, Sears.
Daihatsu owners talk about Daihatsu from Japan.
When you can recommend a car to your best friend, you are driving the right car.
We're talking about style
and performance.
Japanese quality I can afford.
You get the same quality in Rocky, the White Track 4x4 by Daihatsu.
That zippy 4-cylinder fuel-injected engine really gets it around.
And Rocky has the widest wheel track in its class. Today, there's a Daihatsu that's just right for you. Daihatsu, one of the most respected names in Japan for over 80 years.
It's powerful. It's 110% protection. Speed stick deodorant, made just for a man. It has no alcohol to evaporate. Its protection doesn't fade. Speed stick, 110% protection. I'm in.
Before records are broken and headlines are made, get the first and most informative look at all the upcoming day's action on SportsCenter Game Day. Saturday and Sunday mornings at 11:30 Eastern on ESPN.
2-0 our score in the College World Series at Omaha, Nebraska. These two teams do have a history. Georgia unloaded on Stanford with that 11-run 6th inning to make it a 16-2 victory. And you see the numbers. Carey did have a home run for the Cardinal. Reban got the win. And among the 6 pitchers used by the Cardinal, Brian Sakinski.
The numbers that really tell the story, including the last game against Georgia. For Brian Sakinski, he's pitched 1 1/3 innings, given up 8 hits, 7 runs, 5 of them earned. He's walked 1 and he struck out only 1. Been a tough World Series for this young freshman.
Terry Childers, the Georgia catcher, will lead it off.
I would imagine Tom Dutton had a conversation with Sakinski about pitching a little bit more. He's just trying to throw the ball down the middle, trying to throw it as hard as he can, and you can't do that against this caliber hitter.
Paul Carey takes in the first out of the inning. Well, you're right, but again, you have to understand Sakinski's situation. He comes in normally to close out games for Coach Dutton, and most of the time he just wants that young man to rear back and throw. He never asks him to think about location, pitching ahead or behind in a given count. It all changes when you move to the hill to start a game. Joey Alfonso, the Georgia second baseman. You're looking for a player that has elevated his level in the College World Series for a given team. It would be Joey Alfonso. Looks to bunt. They appeal down at first. First base umpire Don January said no. He did not go after it. So it's ball 1, 1-1 the count. A number of teams from the Southeastern Conference here, obviously. For the first time they had 3. Mississippi State, which is gone, LSU and Georgia. We've talked to a number of people, and they say Alfonso playing the best baseball they've ever seen this year. This week, he serves that one foul down the right field line.
That's a story that's repeated throughout the World Series. There's what Paul Carey has to fight in right field. You see, he tries every little trick that he can to block that sun out. This is a tough ballpark for the professional players. The Omaha Royals play here normally. It's especially tough for these young college guys.
Sometimes you see the players using shades, and I noticed Carey didn't have any. But he did have the bill of that cap down about as far as it could go. Alfonso takes the ball outside. 2-2, the count with one out. Bottom half of the second. 2-0 our score. Georgia with the lead. Game 11 of the College World Series. Solid shot to center, but Hammond is there. And Alfonso continues to make outstanding contact at the plate.
And that's such a boost to your ball club when you get the great performance from somebody that's unexpected doing it. Joey Alfonso hitting 9th in the order. He's had a great College World Series, really lifted his team emotionally.
Every coach that's been here before will tell you that when they come to scout a game, they know enough about the teams, but they just want to see who's hot and who's not. Alfonso has caught the attention of everyone at this College World Series.
When I was pitching, I would always check to see what the hitters had done the last 10 games. Who's been running, who's healthy to be running, who's been swinging the hot bat. I didn't care about the overall averages for the year and some of the other things, or how many doubles he had or anything else. I wanted to know what he did in the last 10 ball games.
The coaches, Steve Weber, the head man over at third. Tim Bagnall is over at first base. And McKee Smith at the plate. Down 0-2. Chopper to third. Griffin with the throw. And the Dogs are gone. Quietly. In the second. So perhaps the freshman will grow in confidence. Brian Sikinski, his club down by 2 runs through 2 innings.
You've been staring out there all day. What are you doing?
Trying to figure out which computer is the most powerful.
Well, that's easy. The one with the most memory, megahertz, MIPS, you know.
No, I don't think so.
There we go.
I think the most powerful computer is the one that people actually use.
Macintosh has the power to change the way you look at computers.
But that's not really a fair comparison. People like using the Mac.
After 30, life is over. You can't wear a miniskirt. You know why? Thunder time! Everything sags. You should see the guys you hang out with. Major dweebs. Forget about eating anything that tastes good.
Who says you have to give up the things you like? Give up something you want to miss, like a little oil. Ruffles light, Cheetos light, Doritos light. Never give up the taste.
Miami Maniac having a great time at the NCAA College World Series. Although Ron Fraser's club isn't here, he makes it every year. He is the certified, new and improved mascot of the College World Series. Here is Roger Burnett. Roger Burnett, who hits in the 7th position, starts a battery in this inning that is a collective 6 for 30 in the College World Series, while a number of teams here have gotten mass production from the bottom of their collective orders. Stanford has not. Tim Griffin, mired in a huge slump, is on deck. Holbrook is injured, and Mike Eicher will play for him. He's only had 31 at-bats. He's the designated hitter, so they need a lot more punch from the bottom of the order. There's Eicher. We talked earlier about the zone of Bob Hernandez. You get the feeling that Fleming hasn't thrown enough pitches to really understand the zone. There's another ground ball to short. Showalter with the throw. I mean, they're hitting the first or second pitch almost on every at-bat. So it would be very difficult for him to be that concerned with the strike zone of Bob Hernandez nibbling at those corners. Stanford really first pitch swinging when they get an opportunity.
They know that Fleming is going to be around the plate, and the location that he's getting with his fastball particularly right now, any umpire can call that ball game.
Tim Griffin.
Watch how he avoids the center of the plate. He tries to hit the 4 inches on the outside half. He tries to hit the 4 inches on the inside half and stays away from the middle of the 17-inch dish.
Griffin with 21 home runs and 75 RBIs. But all of that means nothing at the CWS if you don't get it going. 6 ground ball outs out of the 7 that have come to the plate. And the Cardinals still looking for a ball hit out of the infield. 1-2 the count. Serve to Alfonso. 2 down. Got that one in on the hands. And the slump for Tim Griffin continues.
It's a very hard curveball that Dave Fleming throws. A lot of times you'll hear hitters say something about seeing a red dot on the ball because the spin of the ball is so tight. The seams almost look like they form a dot.
Mike Eicher takes the ball. See the numbers, 281 on the year with 32 at-bats. He did have 1 in the College World Series in that loss to Georgia. Out of San Diego, California. Grounder again to third. Cooper over to Ajevich, and it's all over. He's faced the minimum through 3. Dave Fleming has it going his way again. Bulldogs by 2.
Daihatsu owners talk about Daihatsu from Japan.
When you can recommend a car to your best friend, you are driving the right car.
We're talking about style
and performance.
Japanese quality I can afford.
You get the same quality in Rocky, the wide-track 4x4 by Daihatsu.
That zippy 4-cylinder fuel-injected engine really gets it around.
And Rocky has the widest wheel track in its class. Today, there's a Daihatsu that's just right for you. Daihatsu, one of the most respected names in Japan for over 80 years.
What you're about to see is a sim. Brushstrokes, runs, streaks. Now consider the new Wagner Power Painter. It has patented controls for precision, a convenient backpack for big jobs. It paints smoothly and evenly over cracks and tough surfaces. Why did we ruin this beauty? So you wouldn't ruin this one. Wagner, not just a whole lot faster, a whole lot better.
Even if you can't come to Omaha, you can be a part of the 1990 NCAA College World Series with a copy of the official souvenir program. To obtain the program, send a check or money order for $7 to 1990 College World Series program, P.O. Box 1990-A, Lexington, Kentucky 40593 3071. Please allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery. This message furnished by the NCAA.
2-0, Georgia leading Stanford as we move to the bottom of the 3rd. Tim Brando along with Larry Sorensen. And don't forget, coming up later today, it'll be Oklahoma State and LSU, live 7:30 Eastern Time. Mike Patrick Jim Cott will have it for you. Mike Daniel of the Cowboys and Lyle Mouton of the Tigers. Among the hard hitters that you'll see on hand in a game that's very important to the Tigers. They will be eliminated should they lose. The Cowboys, much like the Dogs, unbeaten. They could guarantee themselves a spot in the championship game with a win. Jeff Cooper, single to right in the 1st. Eventually came around to score. He nubs that one to 1st, and it's handcuffed over there by McCarty, but they get the out. Those sometimes can be the most difficult plays to make. The ball comes off the end of the bat, is spinning the opposite side.
Nice job by Brian Sakinski here. It shouldn't be that tough of a play for Dave McCarty, but when he drops it, Sakinski is over there to make the throw. Ordinarily, this is a play that McCarty takes himself, but when he drops it, Sakinski had the presence of mind to get over there and cover. It's a nice job.
J.R. Showalter Showalter from that hotbed of baseball in the state of Florida, Sarasota High School.
As a pitcher, they teach you to go over to first base every time the ball is hit to the right side, but you start assuming that certain things are going to happen. You slow down and give up on balls. Sakinski didn't. He showed some good hustle.
He's coming off a confidence-building second inning. An inning which saw him finally get through the Georgia order without a man reaching base. That could help him a great deal.
That's why I said earlier, a great defensive play could have really bailed him out.
You talk to Steve Weber about J.R. Showalter, and he tells you in a heartbeat that the key to his success is great hands. He's played some outstanding second base. He's got quick hands with the bat, and that really helped Showalter. Didn't get around on that breaking ball, though. And Showalter goes down swinging.
Watch how hard this curveball is. Breaks very late, breaks very quickly. Great pitch. The off-balance pitch, the off-speed pitch, got him out on the front foot a little bit. Great breaking ball.
Brian Jester grounded out to second back in the first. But Cooper, you'll recall, scored from third on the out, and that one gets past McCarty at first. And Jester with his first hit, the 5th of the game for Georgia. It was Jester, you'll recall, that had the outstanding at-bat against Musina that changed the course of that game, Game 6, played earlier at the College World Series between these same two teams, and he would strike out eventually. But an ominous sign for Stanford and Musina, because the Georgia bats were beginning to catch up with his heater. Again, the appeal to first base umpire Don January. He didn't go around. 1-0 the count to Bruce Chick. Chick single to right center in the first.
You're right about that at-bat. That was really the first time that they showed that they could catch up to the 93 to 94 mile an hour fastball.
Chopper to third. Griffin with the throw to first to end the inning. The Bulldogs get a base hit, but come up empty in the third as Sakinski is finding the groove. Georgia leads 2-0.
I never saw you hit so well. I'm here in 3, you're here in 1. Ah, Bill.
How'd you do, Jack?
In 3, out in 3. What are you doing? You're playing your best golf, and every time I look up, you're staring at TV. Saturday cartoons make you so good?
It's a special Golf Digest instructional video. The Golf Digest schools pulled 10 instant golf lessons from their 10-cassette collection.
Graphics, instruction, real professional advice, 10 instant lessons?
It's a half hour of the best stuff for a golfer.
It's priceless.
It's free.
Free?
With my subscription to Golf Digest.
Get a full year of Golf Digest for $19.77. Call 800-367-5800 now and get our free half-hour instructional video with your paid subscription. Call 800-367-5800 now.
2-0, Georgia leading Stanford, top half of the 4th inning. From Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska. Beautiful setting for college baseball. And the College World Series here for the 44th time. And the out count, look at the ground outs to flyouts. That ratio, just what Fleming would want, a breaking ball pitcher that has fantastic location.
You talk about beautiful. Steve Weber thinks that's beautiful.
Top of the order, Jeff Hammonds to lead off the 4th. Get ready, you're going to hear this a lot. Hammond's a ground out victim in his first time. There's a base hit. Remember, this is that second time around in the order. Stanford may be trying to time that breaking ball just as Georgia timed that fastball, if you've seen it. And Hammond's a definite threat.
He's a big key for Stanford. Had a great ball game the other day. He had a triple. I couldn't believe how quickly he got to third base.
He just changes the complexion of a game, much as a Ricky Henderson would change the complexion of a game for the Oakland A's.
They say he's got Henderson-type ability. Turned down a bunch to go to Stanford.
Fleming actually had Hammonds going back to first base that time. A difficult read, a left-hander many times. This is the first time Hammonds has had to deal with Fleming, who really is considered to have only an average move to first base. Nothing at all like John O'Donoghue that we saw last night of LSU.
He told us earlier he had some trouble early in the season with a game he pitched against Tennessee. Said they were running at will off him, so he changed his delivery a little bit. He'll go sometimes with the high leg kick, sometimes he'll go with the low leg kick, trying to give a different look to the base runner at first base. But the gentleman at first base right now, Jeff Hammonds, can steal some bags. He's got 47 this year, 47 out of 58.
That was Kirk Mason, the first base coach, chatting with him. Troy Paulson at the plate. The Cardinals' second baseman. That ball is driven down the line and left. It has extra bases written all over it, and Hammonds will score easily. The Cardinal on the boards. It's 2-1.
Remember, this is the first time, too, that Dave Fleming has pitched from the stretch position, and he got that fastball over the plate. Paulson unloads on it. He gets the head out with good extension. You see the bat come all the way around. Smokes it down the left field line. Hammond scored from first on a ball the other day that wasn't hit nearly that far or that hard. He was motoring all the way.
So Paulson with the double. Aboard at second. Still no one out. It's 2-1. And Dave McCarty at the plate for Stanford. There's a strike on the inside corner at the knees. McCarty didn't like that call at all. The zone moving to the inside corner in that liberal strike zone of Bob Hernandez comes to the forefront.
That pitch looked like it was off the plate a couple of inches, but if you start nibbling on those corners and show the umpire you're going to be there all day, he'll give you a little bit more.
Fleming dealing with all of the right-handers. The only left-hander in the lineup that he'll have to face is Carey. You mentioned he talked to us about Tennessee running. He also mentioned Vanderbilt having 9 right-handed hitters, and he had to face a lineup similar to this during the SEC season. The competition in that league has really helped him in the College World Series. Vanderbilt barely made it into the Southeastern Conference playoffs as a 6th place team. Tennessee had their problems, but he said the competition was quite good. Speaking of Carey, he's on deck. And when we asked him about the pitcher and the batter confrontation that he was most concerned with, it was Carey, not McCarty.
What makes this breaking ball so effective is that he runs it out of the strike zone. It dips down 5 or 6 inches below the knee, actually ends up out of the good hitting zone, out of the strike zone. It breaks so big, though, that it looks like it's going to stay in the zone. And you have to anticipate a little bit where the ball is going to break to and swing where the ball is going to break to. When it runs out of the strike zone, it's tough.
The 2-2 pitch. Rounded to third. Nice work by Cooper. McCarty goes down, and they check Paulson and hold him at second base. Again, the ground out for Dave Fleming. One away. Media is growing as the College World Series continues here in Omaha, and now Paul Carey comes up. He too a ground out victim. These two were roommates on Team USA last summer. Became very good friends. He changes his delivery, doesn't he, to the left-hand hitter?
He drops down to the left-handers. Watch how he cross-fires a little bit, gets his arm down lower and breaks the ball out. It freezes the left-hander's hips, locks him up a little bit. That's a big part of his weapon against left-handers, and because there are 8 right-handers in the lineup, he hasn't used it too much tonight. Against Mississippi State, it was devastating. It was very effective for him.
One of the reasons he shut him out twice during the course of the regular season.
See, he really cross-fired there, throws across his body. What that does is hides the ball a little bit longer, too, because you keep yourself closed, you step towards first base, and then you sling the ball. It comes out of your white shirt as your arm drops down towards the sidearm position. Normally, he's up about 3/4. And he's wearing it out to Paul Carey.
He's got a base open. And isn't it interesting that he told us that this was the guy that concerned him most, because now the count is full at 3-2. And boy, is he nibbling.
It's a John Tudor type of drop down and crossover. He's thrown a bunch of them to Paul Carey. I guess he figures it's the only left-hander he's got the chance. He's going to use it as many times in each at-bat as he can.
I'll be interested to see what he decides to throw here with the count at 3-2 and the base open with 1 out.
I would think he's got to hook him again.
Did not want Carey to beat him. He was honest when he spoke with us today, wasn't he? That sets up, obviously, the double play situation for the Georgia infield. No one more aware of that than Dave Fleming.
That's not a bad walk at all. It's the unintentional intentional pass. He wasn't going to give him anything in the strike zone that Carey could hurt him with.
Turner grounded out short to first, his first time. Turner has been known to take advantage of third basemen that stay back by drag bunting on occasion. Very accomplished at that. They start the runners. Nice work by Paulson moving down.
Paulson gets a great jump. As soon as Fleming turned towards home plate, he saw it. He knew it was going to be a breaking ball. He took off. He went on his own, I think.
Yeah, he did. Because Carey was going nowhere, he remained at first. Troy Paulson down at third.
That's a situation they tell you go on your own, but you better make it.
Jammed him there. 1-2 the count.
That looks good if you make it, but you don't want to go back to the dugout if you don't.
The Georgia bench up on the first step. A couple of emotional teams that are always into the game, even if they're on the pine. Although Steve Weber has a calming effect as a head coach, as opposed to Mark Marquis, who is as intense a head baseball coach as you could ever find. Carey starts and they pop him up. At shortstop, Carey will have to hurry back. Showalter makes the grab, and Carey goes back in head first at first base. He'll have to clean off. They certainly want to move the runners and get something going offensively, this Stanford club. They are the team that's lost a game. They are the ones that manufacture runs by comparison to Georgia.
That's good strategy by Mark Marquis. He knows that his club is going to have trouble hitting Dave Fleming probably, so he tries to generate a run, hoping to force Georgia into making some kind of an error, to maybe throw a ball away so that he could steal a cheap run from third base.
Troy Tolman had a unique first time up. Unique only because he popped out to first rather than grounded out to end the second. A run is across for Stanford off the double by Paulson. Hammond's coming around to score after the leadoff base hit to start the inning. Georgia leading 2-1. We're in the top of the fourth. And again, carry goes. No throw at all coming from Childers. Stanford with the potential go-ahead run at second base. Paulson at third. Carey down at second.
Interesting decision to me by Fleming to pitch from the stretch position with runners at second, third, because he struggled from the stretch position. With 2 outs and 2 runners on, if I was him, I'd go from the windup. He's been more effective from the windup.
He's down on the count, 2-0 to Tolman. Now suddenly it's 3-0. I don't recall ever seeing Fleming with a 3-0 count to any batter in the Mississippi State game. This is the first time he has been in this position in the College World Series. Mark was looking for an opening. Lifted high into left. And coming in to make the grab, Suplee. Stanford tantalizes the left-hander in the fourth. They push across a run with 2 hits and a little bit of speed.
When this is the feeling of shaving, nothing feels better. Aftershave skin conditioner.
I'm in.
Life's full of simple pleasures, like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
Before records are broken and headlines are made, get the first and most informative look at all the upcoming day's action on Sports Center Game Day. Saturday and Sunday mornings at 11:30 Eastern on ESPN. Stand up and cheer as the nation's top cheerleaders reach new heights. They move from the sidelines to center stage in the College Cheerleading Championship. Saturday afternoon at 2 Eastern on ESPN.
2-1 our score as we move to the bottom half of the fourth inning. Georgia leading Stanford in Game 11 of the NCAA College World Series here in Omaha, Nebraska. The sun going down, and that's good news for the hitters in the infield. But the outfield still has to deal with the sun.
I'm surprised that Troy Tolman swings at this pitch. It's up in the strike zone. It's not where he wants the ball. Could easily have been ball 4, and with a 3-0 count, you've got to get a pitch that you can drive. He had his hands out a little bit too far. He didn't really get anything out. Lifted a harmless fly ball into left field. They had Fleming on the ropes a little bit. he started to get a little erratic around the strike zone. I'm really surprised he swung 3-0.
That was a 3-0 pitch that obviously they could have taken advantage of, and they haven't. And speaking of taking advantage of Fleming, they wanted to. Sakinski was certainly taken advantage of early. But look at the last 2 innings.
And the key to those strikes that he's thrown in the last 2 innings is he's getting his breaking ball over now. So Georgia can't just sit on number 1.
Doug Rajevich leads off the bottom of the 4th.
Great breaking ball. That's the fork ball. He likes to throw his fork ball to left-hand hitters. You see it's only 74 miles an hour. That's the change of speed that Tom Dunton talked about, that he needs Sakinski to get going. That's a major league fastball. Matter of fact, it's better than my fastball.
The 2-1 is lined sharply over to first. McCarty makes the play. Speaking of Major League fastballs, Dan Spencer's got one. Unfortunately, we're not able to see it tonight. And again, for those of you that are just joining us, we need to update you on Spencer. A rib injury forcing him not to start this game.
There's a great breaking ball coming inside. He pitched him breaking ball away, fork ball in the dirt, fastball in, came back with a breaking ball in. Great sequence right there by Sakinski.
Suplee hits that one in foul ground.
Tim, that's what we talked about, learning to pitch a little bit instead of just trying to throw the fastball down the middle. He's thinking a little bit more out there.
Sure, Tom Dunton took some time to chat with him. Gave him some time to settle down. She hasn't settled down, and neither has the Maniac. I'd kiss her, too. The 0-2 pitch. Thought about it, but didn't. 1-2 the count. He punched him out with the breaking ball on the outside corner at the knees. The thrower is becoming a pitcher, a starting pitcher with this selection.
Perfect location. Knee-high black. Might as well take it. You can't hit it.
Third strikeout for Sakinski. Childers takes a strike on the inside corner at the knees. Childers, a fine defensive catcher, and when you read that in media guides, it usually means he's hitting below 200. That's exactly the story with Childers. Out of Augusta, Georgia, born in Statesboro, the home of Georgia Southern, a participant in this College World Series, one that certainly has had a great deal of Southern flair.
Yet Steve Weber said that it was the base hit that Childers had against Messina that he thought was the key to getting his ball club started. He hit a little pop-up into right field for a base hit. Didn't hit it hard, but he fought it off enough to get it in there for the first base hit.
Yeah, we brought up Jester to him in that at-bat, and he quickly pointed out the work of Childers. And again, that goes back to the College World Series. A sub-200 hitter suddenly makes a play that can make a difference. Breaking ball for strike 3. The powerful fastball of Sakinski. Not the out pitch against Georgia in the 5th. They're a fastball hitting club. He has made the necessary adjustment. And the folks from Palo Alto have reason to believe they could hang on for Day 7 of the College World Series.
Want great value for your money? Start with a great machine, a Craftsman.
Like this 12-horsepower Craftsman tractor with 40-inch mower deck and 6 speeds, just $11.99. Save $100.
And there's only one place to get it, Sears. This season, when you buy Roundup Grass and Weed Killer, you can save up to $120 on American Airlines tickets. Let Roundup get rid of your weeds while you take off with American. Nothing kills weeds better than Roundup.
Once you hit 30, it's all over. Your legs are shot, your whole body goes to pot. Forget about sports entirely. You have to be serious all the time. You can't eat anything that tastes good. Creamed corn.
Who says you have to give up the things you like? Give up something you won't miss, like a little oil. Ruffles light, Cheetos light, Doritos light. Never give up the taste.
If you can hit a softball, you can always hit it better. Ray DeMarini's reflex hitting system, only from ESPN, can make you a better, more consistent hitter. For just $29.95, you'll learn hitting techniques to improve your stance, swing, bat speed, and timing.
Get ready to make yourself a better hitter.
Ray DeMarini has been a successful 600-plus hitter from local to national levels of slow-pitch softball. And his exclusive reflex hitting system from ESPN Home Video will give you all you need to know for a higher average, greater power, and increased performance, regardless of your size. Be the star of your softball team with the Ray DeMarini Reflex Hitting System for only $29.95 from ESPN Home Video. Call 1-800-554-9000 to order today, or to get your free catalog of videos from ESPN Home Video.
Fans? No. Television executives? I'm sorry to admit, possibly yes. So look at some of our crew, Tom McNeely, Freddie Cadelli, and the guys on the crew that have been working the other games in the College World Series with Mike Patrick and Jim Cott. We have enjoyed them and our stay here in Omaha as well. Roger Burnett will lead off the top half of the fifth inning for the Stanford Cardinal. I'm Tim Brando along with Larry Sorensen. Happy to have you with us as the College World Series moves on. Burnett takes the breaking ball on the outside corner. 0-1 the count. He grounded to third to lead off the third in his last at bat.
Jim, I think that shows you how much we've all enjoyed this College World Series. Those guys are here on their day off.
Yeah.
They came to see the ball game.
You bet.
And we've seen a lot of baseball in the past days.
Well, I'll be here tomorrow night for Oklahoma State and LSU. It's an infectious event.
Boy, is this a nice pitch. Great big ball. Fighting out of the strike zone.
Unhittable. You don't make contact with that one.
If you do, it's a ground ball.
Like that.
What Stanford needs to do is start to discipline themselves to lay off that breaking ball when it's breaking out of the strike zone. There you see he went for two pitches that would have been balls. They can get Fleming into trouble if they lay off and get him behind in the count and force him to come in with his fastball, which is not as good as his curveball.
Burnett goes down swinging. It's the heater on the outside part of the plate. Every now and then you tend to look out at the opposing pitcher after he does that to you in an at-bat.
That's the first strikeout of the ball game for Dave Fleming.
He really worked Burnett well that time. Had him set up for every pitch. Here is Tim Griffin. Griffin lined out to second back in the third inning. His 21 home runs and 75 RBIs are fourth best in the school's history. And he's trying to bunt to get on against Dave Fleming. That in itself is a compliment.
And he almost bunted a double. He made pretty good contact with that ball.
Griffin is a player that when he comes to the plate, Larry, will crowd it. And you'd think that that would help him get that curveball that maybe is being thrown for a strike on the outside corner at the knees. That may only be thrown with 2 strikes.
The other thing that Stanford might think about doing is moving up in the batter's box a little bit to try to get to that curveball before it breaks. Since he can't throw the ball by you, they could afford to move up a little bit, still be able to adjust to the fastball, but catch the curveball before it breaks.
He threw it out of the strike zone, and he goes down. With a count at 1-2, there's no reason for Fleming to throw it for a strike. He didn't, and Griffin went fishing.
Throw it in the dirt, try and get him to chase it. This is what he does. Sharp breaker, took a little bit off that pitch too. Nice job by Childers to keep it in front of him.
Mike Eicher, also 0 for 1. Eicher with only the 33 at-bats, counting the one he had earlier in the 3rd. He does possess all of the tools. He's a junior out of San Diego. In the game because Holbrook injured his ankle while sliding in at second base in the game against Mississippi State. But when we talked to Mark Marquis about Eicher, he said, you know, he does have some pretty good pop. He doesn't have a home run this year, but again, with that many at-bats, you can understand perhaps why. The bottom line is that man does not have a player in his dugout that can't get the job done. And he knows that. And they're still talking about lunging in front of those curveballs in that Stanford dugout.
On that same point, Brian Sakinski, a last-minute replacement. He's 9-1. I mean, this kid's won a bunch of ball games this year. Great job by Fleming. Look how little of home plate that ball catches.
Two down in the top half of the 5th inning. Georgia leading 2-1. 3-2 the count to Mike Eicher. Just low on the inside corner. First walk of the game. Or check that, second walk of the game. Carey got the free pass. It was an unintentional, intentional walk. Back in the 4th.
But that's not a bad walk, because now you've got Jeff Hammonds coming up with 2 outs. Instead of leading off the next hitter by retiring the 9th hitter in the lineup, Eicher, he gets Hammonds on base now, or he gets Hammonds at the plate now. If he gets him out, he can start his next inning off facing Troy Paulson instead of having to face their leadoff hitter, who's an outstanding player. Don't pick him off. Leave him over there. Try to get Hammonds out.
It's easy to forget the walks that you believe are planned. And Fleming's appeared to be somewhat planned.
You try to do that to a Ricky Henderson type. You'd rather have him at bat later in the inning instead of leading off. The problem is that Ricky has such great power, he can hurt you with the home run too. As does Hammonds. He's got 7.
They're moving Eicher because they have him picked. And that will do it. Hammonds will lead off. Pretty good thought process by the analyst Larry Sorensen. However, no one decided to clue in Dave Fleming. He gets them out at the plate, and he can pick them while they're on base. We'll be back on the bottom of the 5th right after this.
Listen carefully. This man is using an amazing electronic breakthrough that lets him hear a pin drop across the room. It's the Whisper 2000. Gives you the astonishing experience of super hearing. No more embarrassing complaints when you watch TV.
Can you turn that down?
With Whisper 2000, you don't have to turn up the volume. It's hard to hear in the backseat of the car. Now, sit back and talk comfortably.
Can you hear me back there?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Totally awesome.
What is Use Whisper 2000 in theaters. You'll hear every word clearly, comfortably. Similar devices sell for $60, but it's yours now for just $19.95. Here's how to order.
To order, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-776-5600 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to Whisper 2000, 1000 American Way, Roanoke, Virginia.
If you like sports, you can win $100 right now in your home. Just go to the phone and dial this number, Kelly's Phone Quiz. Use your push buttons to answer 9 sports trivia questions, and we'll pay you $100. Simple to do and a lot of fun. You can even select your favorite sports category.
Call now. Answer 9 questions correctly with your push-button phone and win $100. 1-900-246-KELLY. $1.50 first minute, 75 cents additional minute.
Call now and let your fingers win you $100.
I'm not convinced that Larry Sorensen's convinced that Mark Marquis didn't want this to happen.
I don't think that's a special pickoff move at all. I think that Marquis started Eicher as soon as there was first movement, figuring, well, if he gets thrown out, I've got Hammonds leading off. If he doesn't get thrown out, I might be able to score him with a single. I don't think he minds that Eicher got thrown out at second base.
After all, Marquis knows that Hammonds led off the inning that gave him the run, that being in the 4th, with a base hit, and he scored on a double from first base.
He's also the kind of exciting player that can generate a big inning just by getting on base and shaking up the opposing team.
For the record, that was the 12th runner picked off in this College World Series, as Joey Alfonso starts it for the Dogs. Squared to bunt and takes the strike. Alfonso lined out to center to end the 2nd. Hit the ball sharply, if you'll recall. Breaking ball. And Alfonso lunging at that one.
We've shown a great left-hander's curveball. Look at this pitch. You see the head fly out on Joey Alfonso. He had no chance.
Bye-bye to Joey Alfonso.
He flies everything out on this nasty breaking ball. Can't reach far enough. And even less chance on that curveball.
3 straight Ks for Sikinski. And 2 of those 3 Ks have ended with breaking balls. A fastball pitcher.
He's made the adjustment very nicely at this point.
McKay Smith, 1 for 2. Got a base hit to start the game. Georgia got 2 runs in an inning where they very easily could have gotten more. Steve Weber knows he's not facing the same right-hander that he faced in inning number 1 here in the 4th. Or check that, in the 5th. That's a bounding ball to second. Troy Paulson with a good arm. And there are 2 down.
The key thing to look for Brian Sikinski will be what he does if he gets in trouble. Will he go back to just throwing, trying to blow his fastball by everybody, or will he continue to pitch?
You have to admire the work by the freshman since that first inning. We were hammering you with statistics that were proving a point that Georgia could nail a fastball pitcher. The pitching coach, Tom Dutton, perhaps had those same numbers in front of him. Baseball is a game of adjustments. Look at that. Wow. That's amazing. And that makes the heater that much more effective on the outside corner at the knees. There's Tom Dutton. Think of Jack McDowell. He's handled so many other great pitchers that the Stanford Cardinals have had over the years. And a breaking ball in a perfect spot. Right on cue, the freshman comes through. We've played 5 in Omaha. Georgia still leads it 2-1 with the top of the order due up. And now the Dogs are being baffled in the box. We'll be back to Omaha.
How's your flight? Better than the cab ride.
Yeah, okay. Can you send us down to finance now? Okay, hold on, I'm sending it.
1 line with Chicago. It's strange. What is it? Your people.
What's wrong with them?
Not that. Can I get on here soon? Where'd you find all these computer people anyway?
What are you talking about?
I've got 24 PCs in my department, and my people hardly touch them. Yours actually stand in line.
You still don't get it, do you?
Get what? You don't have the wrong people. You have the wrong computers.
The most powerful computer is the one people actually use. Macintosh, the power to be your best.
That can't be it. I gave them all 6 weeks of training.
Stand up and cheer as the nation's top cheerleaders reach new heights. They move from the sidelines to center stage in the College Cheerleading Championship, Saturday afternoon at 2 Eastern on ESPN.
Due to time constraints, we move ahead to the top half of the 7th inning with the Georgia Bulldogs leading by a score of 2-1.
Ryan Turner in left field didn't panic. That ball looked like it had a chance to get out of here, but the wind really knocked it down. He knew he had it. Blew a little bubble.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, the wind would be a factor, as would the sun. The sun went down, but the wind certainly still blowing from left to right. And with right hand hitting the dominant factor with this Stanford team, it makes them less lethal against the left-hand pitcher. Turner takes the ball outside, 1-0. As the game wears on, Sikinski continues to get command of his curveball, but that man never lost command of his. He just keeps rolling along.
Very intelligent young pitcher.
Two and two, the count to Turner. Lifted into shallow right. Alfonso is out, but he's called off by Bruce Chick. One away.
During the course of a ball game, you know you're going to give up a certain amount of base hits. That pitch was right down the middle of his mistake that Dave Fleming got away with. That's the kind of break that you need to have a good ball game, and that's the reason why hitters make out 7 out of 10 times.
Very few mistakes, though, by Dave Fleming in this College World Series. Most of the time, when he has been ineffective, Larry, it's been early in games. Teams have touched him up early. Troy Tallman sends that one right past Cooper at third. He could go for 2. The throw from Suplee will not be nearly enough, and he's in there. Could have been in there standing. Suplee had some trouble picking that ball up, and it brings to mind the point about the infield being hard and the outfield slowing the ball down when it's hit on the ground.
It's not a bad fastball. It's got some movement. Jeff Cooper was pretty far off the line at third base. This ball isn't hit very hard. He thought that he had a chance to make the play.
Stanford with an opportunity to tie with Tallman now at second. One out. Roger Burnett, the outstanding sophomore who undoubtedly will be a first-round pick after his junior year. He simply covers way too much ground and gets more depth at the plate with each at-bat. All of the scouts are drooling over him. Breaking ball in and over. Ball strike. 1-1.
I talked to my old Milwaukee roommate Mike Caldwell, who's the coach of the Camels down in North Carolina. He said that Burnett almost single-handedly beat them with some defensive plays. Said in his mind he was the star of that series.
If you just joined us, Georgia got a couple of runs quickly over Sikinski, who's starting in place of Stan Spencer, who had injured ribs and was scratched from the lineup just an hour before tonight's game. Sikinski, normally a closer and a fastball pitcher, did not get the job done in the first, roughed up for 4 hits. But since that time, he's been outstanding, and Spencer couldn't be happier. He's only given up 1 hit in the last 5 innings, and it's the same old story for Fleming. Keeping the ball on the ground. Stanford only with the 1 run on 4 hits. But Fleming is getting behind on the count. This is really the first time that he has been behind on the count.
Tim Griffin in the on-deck circle. He doesn't have a hit yet in the College World Series. Fleming could be pitching around Burnett to get to Griffin, set up a double play. With only 1 out, he's been falling behind on the hitters a little bit. His usual pattern is to get in front and get the hitters to chase his breaking ball out of the strike zone, but the last couple innings he's been falling behind and having to throw more fastballs.
Here comes the 3-2 pitch. Didn't get around on it. Fouled back up our way on the first base side. There you see the totals on Fleming. He's up to 93 pitches. Not bad for 7 innings work.
But he's thrown a lot of pitches lately.
Yeah.
He was cruising the first 4 innings. Now he's getting up there.
That fastball too deep inside. And Tim Griffin now comes up with 2 on, looking for his first College World Series hit.
It's his 94th pitch inside. Through 3 innings, he'd only thrown 29 pitches. So it's starting to be a struggle with him, and he's not hitting the same good spots that he had earlier in the ballgame. He didn't miss with that fastball inside the first 3 innings.
You know, he really didn't, and Steve Weber's going to go out there and talk with him. Georgia Bulldogs, by virtue of a victory here, would move into the championship game. They got 2 runs in the first, everything looking good, but a lot of goose eggs ever since. And the line score reads they have just 1 more hit than the Cardinal. ESPN's coverage of the College World Series will continue later today for those of you on the East Coast. Tomorrow for those of you on the West Coast as Oklahoma State meets LSU, 7:30 Eastern time as the Tigers take on the Cowboys. Lyle Mouton, Mike Daniel, a couple of the hitting stars for both of those clubs, and Skip Bertman knows that if he gets by Gary Ward's Cowboys, he'll have to play one of these 2 teams. So he's out scouting. Tim Griffin takes the strike on the inside corner. 0-1 to count. Griffin lined out and struck out. He's 0 for 2 in this game, and as we mentioned, still looking for that elusive first Omaha single. is aboard. And when you're struggling at the plate, you'll give yourself up for the team.
Griffin leads the club in RBIs with 75, but he's been moved all the way down to 8th in the order because of his poor performance so far in the World Series. That doesn't hurt quite as badly when you know how much you've helped your ball club out.
Is that a case of perhaps Fleming for the first time overthrowing the ball? Because we haven't seen him that far in to the right-hand hitter.
I think his pitch count is a factor now. I think he's starting to get a little bit tired. He's missing way inside. He doesn't want to let that fastball run back over the plate where he can get hurt by it. But I think his control's starting to go on him.
Bases are jammed for Mike Eicher. Only one out, and again, remember, Eicher with only 34 at-bats all year. Starting in place of Holbrook, who was injured and also scratched from Mark Marquis's lineup. He walked in the 5th and was picked off to end the inning in his last time up. He went around. It's 0-2.
See if he holds up or not. Tough call.
We're in the 7th. Stanford down by 1 with the bases loaded. Stan Payne in the Bulldog pen, also a freshman from Athens, Georgia. The 1-2. Shot right back to Fleming. He'll have a tough play. He'll have no play. We're tied 2-2. Boy, you live by the pitch, you die by the pitch, and that time he died with it.
It was going to be a tough play for Dave Fleming anyway. Just a little number, but put into a great spot. His only play was going to be at home plate. That was his first thought. But when he slips, he thinks about first. He hustles in good fielding position, and he is a good fielder. The ball skipped a little bit to his right side. He had to reach off balance, and that made him trip. The sacks are still full.
And the leadoff man, Hammonds, is up. Grounded right past Cooper at third. Burnett is in. And the Cardinal now lead by 2 as Griffin scores as well. 4-2 Stanford.
But didn't this happen in a hurry? It's the breaking ball again. The ball isn't hit that hard, but it's great location. It's right down the third baseline. Cooper makes a diving attempt to catch the ball. See how far he is off the line? That ball was hit pretty sharply. Just got by him. Cooper a little off balance.
You know, it's a compliment to Sikinski that they were playing in as much as they were. You see Eicher and Hammonds aboard. Hammonds at first, Eicher at second. Troy Paulson up. Fouled out of play. I say that because that man's starting pitcher did not have it in the first inning. And it would have been very easy for Steve Weber to give up a run, perhaps. He chose not to. He figures it could be a 1 or 2 run game. That really is a compliment to Sikinski's pitching and the adjustments he's made. Well, they really caught Eicher off the bag at second base. He had to hurry back in.
I'm not sure they didn't have a play on that last pitch. Eicher at second base. On an earlier play, see, he's going. He's thinking about going because he's a one-look pitcher. He only looks one time to second base to check the runner. If Eicher had waited a fraction of a second longer and Fleming turned his head back towards home plate, he was trying to steal third. They had a double steal on him.
Carlson lifts it into shallow center. McKay Smith with plenty of room. 2 down.
From the pitching standpoint, to hold the runners at second base, you want to vary your looks to second. You look once, then you turn away and throw. The next time you look 3 times, then you turn away and throw. The next pitch, you look twice, then you turn to home plate and throw. Fleming has been getting in the habit of only looking once. Mark Marcos has picked up on that, and so he decided to put a play on to steal as soon as he turned his head back towards home plate. Unfortunately, Eicher took off a little bit too soon, and Fleming was able to pick it up.
Mark Marquis getting some offense here in the 7th. Up on that top step, feeling the momentum of this game swinging. Dave McCarty not swinging and looking at strike 1 call. Well, Fleming touched up, not to the tune that Musina was the other night when Georgia turned the tables on him after he had been rolling through the Bulldog lineup. He simply got behind on the count this inning and paid a price. There's the location that he had early in the strike zone most of this game until the 7th. And the count is 0-2 to McCarty. It's a game of eyes. For McCarty, getting the signals. For Fleming, getting his.
107 pitches now for Fleming, too. He's starting to get up there. That's a lot for 7 innings. And he's not out of the 7th yet.
There are 2 down. And he does have 2 strikes. The 1-2. Don January again over at first. He's getting a workout over there with appeals being made by Terry Childers behind home plate, the catcher for Georgia. So many of those pitches, a biting curveball in the outside corner, you have those check swings.
But Stanford has made the adjustment now to lay off of that curveball. We talked about it earlier. The only way that they were going to be successful is to lay off that pitch, and that's what they've done.
Here's the pick, and they got Eicher. 2 picks in the game for Dave Fleming. That one could not have come at a bigger moment. But the Cardinals come up with 3 in the 7th. They have a 4-2 lead. But you can't take all of the fight out of the Dogs.
Want an adjustable bed, but don't think you can afford one? Then you haven't priced Craftmatic adjustable beds lately. Craftmatic Model 2 beds cost hundreds less than these quality flat beds. And this Craftmatic Model 3 is available at 50% of Craftmatic 2's low cost. 50%. Craftmatic Model 3 and 2 beds adjust to all these healthful positions and offer optional heat and massage, yet cost less than these quality flat beds. Get our free catalog by mail, including information on Craftmatic 3s at savings of 50% of Craftmatic 2's low cost.
Hello, I'd like to receive your free catalog and 50% information by mail.
Certainly, sir.
It's easy, so call for this free catalog right away.
Call 1-800-642-2800. That's 1-800-642-2800. Toll free.
Call 1-800-642-2800.
Stanford leading Georgia 4-2. Second pick of the game. Second time Eicher's been picked off by Fleming, and you got the feeling that Georgia knew something was up with Stanford on the bases.
Heads up play by Joey Alfonso. You saw the bare hand out. That's the daylight play. The bare hand, when the pitcher sees the palm of the hand, that's his key to turn and throw. Very heads up play. He kept his pitcher in the ball game possibly by using his head and getting a free out for his team.
That's what Alfonso's been doing this entire series. Doug Rajevich leads off the inning. Suddenly Georgia trailing by 2. And Sikinski keeps coming with the breaking ball.
What a difference between the first inning and the next 6. In that last inning on the fly ball, he was behind in the count, and he threw his breaking ball. He hasn't been doing that in the early part. Now he's going with that curveball all the time.
Rajevich with a bounding ball to short. Burnett makes the throw in time. Well, there's an example of why he's such an outstanding prospect. Has trouble with the grounder, yet has the cannon to still make the adjustment and throw out the runner.
He doesn't panic. He catches it off the heel, but pulls it out of his glove and has the composure to stay with the play. And a good call by Don January.
Ray Suplee, 0 for 2 tonight.
I really think that this ball game has been a tremendous learning process for Brian Sikinski. I think he has gotten a lot of confidence in his breaking ball, and that is going to do very well for him in the future. He's learned a lot about pitching in this ball game.
Someday at the next level, he may send a thank you note to Stan Spencer for not being able to make this particular outing in the College World Series. He was scheduled on 5 days rest, which is 1 day less than normal for him to pitch this game tonight. But an injured rib cage forced him not to start. There's Stan. His not pitching, and if his rib is a little better, could mean that he still might have a shot at pitching in the championship game.
Still got good gas.
Three and 1 the count, though, to Suplee. You've got to go in for one of those tomorrow, don't you? The count is full to Suplee. Just got the end of the aluminum bat on that one. Suplee turned down some big dollars. We've been speaking of the draft. He was drafted last year, 4th round choice of the Royals. Turned down 6-figure money to play in Athens. That one was up in the strike zone, fielded by Paulson, and they got him. In the bottom of the 7th. Brian Sikinski rolling along. In a row he's retired. Terry Childers may end that streak. Off the wall. And the sub-200 hitter does it again. That's what makes the College World Series special.
We'll see if it puts the same kind of charge into his ball club that his base hit did the other night off Mike Messina. Sharply hit. Ryan Turner can't catch up with it. Anybody else you want to jinx, talking about the amount of guys retired in a row? Never fails, does it?
Kiss of death.
Usually happens when somebody starts talking about how quickly the game is moving along.
Vince Dooley came up into the booth with us the other night, and promptly the Dogs got 11 runs, and the athletic director at the University of Georgia is hopeful for more. Speaks so highly of that man, Steve Weber, who for 10 years has been at the helm at Georgia. Well, that one nearly got away. Nice work behind the plate by Troy Tallman. Joey Alfonso happens to be Vince's favorite player. He was a walk-on wide receiver with the Bulldogs. And then Vince talked to him, and Joey knew he was more of a baseball prospect than a football prospect. And after transferring over from Georgia College at NAIA school, here he is in the College World Series. 1-0 the count with 2 down. Childers at second.
A few more fastballs from Sikinski now, and he's having a little trouble with his control. He's falling behind with his fastball.
If you're wondering if Alfonso's a believer, trust me, he is. He believes he can get the hit to get his Dogs rolling again. In fact, when he was over at third base in that close game against Mississippi State, he told Steve Weber, his coach, he says he's going to pitch away to the guy, he's going to throw it wild, and I'm going to score. And that gave Georgia an insurance run against Mississippi State in a 1-0 game at that time. That's what you call your basic spark plug type. One that all coaches love to have on their team.
Shows a ball player who's really got his head in the game, too. And if I'm hitting in this situation, I've got to be thinking I'm going to see the hook, and I want to take it to right field.
2-2, 2 out in the bottom of the 7th.
Little confusion here. Got the sign from Troy Tallman. He didn't want to throw that pitch. Tallman must have wanted it, put it down again. So Sikinski stepped off. If we don't get through this next pitch, I'll bet we have a conference out on the mound so that they can figure out what they want to come up with here.
Tallman certainly didn't like the location of it. This is the time of the game as well that Tom Dutton has to be getting concerned about his pitcher and the number of pitches thrown, and he has been throwing an inordinate number of breaking balls.
Very effective breaking balls, but as you said earlier, he hasn't been a starter. He's got 9 starts this year. Used to coming out of the bullpen.
Does not believe it. We mentioned the liberal strike zone at the top of the show, and that it could play a role for Fleming. This time for Sikinski. Alfonso does not believe it. The Dogs are retired. They leave one on. Oh, Vince. Not your night, at least for now.
How do you get real premium beer taste in a non-alcoholic brew? You start with a real premium beer. That's how Anheuser-Busch makes new O'Doul's. O'Doul's is carefully brewed, fully fermented, and cold-aged. Then the alcohol is naturally removed, retaining all the great taste. So how do you get real premium beer taste in a non-alcoholic brew? Ask for an ice-cold O'Doul's. O'Doul's, the taste will win you over.
Family, they're my most important priority. So I had my attorney set up a trust, and I manage my trust investments myself at Schwab. Low commissions, no annual fee. Now, if something happens to me, my family is taken care of, the way I've arranged. I haven't lost my touch. Neither has she.
We give you more ways to succeed.
You always aspire to be at the top. And, I didn't know that I was going to get into this business when I was at the academy, but certainly when I started in marine insurance, it was then natural to feel that you wanted to rise to the top of that business. I had a a good academic record out of the academy, and you just feel that's a good foundation to build on. Sports have given some valuable lessons in life. Taught you how to bounce back. Taught you how to take a beating and how to bounce back. Give you that quality of resiliency that you need. It's not all wins. And you have to know how to accept defeats gracefully and then still go out and pursue the win the next time.
This message furnished by the NCAA.
We move to the top of the 8th, Stanford leading Georgia 4-2, and we show you this not because we're trying to strike controversy behind home plate, but a liberal strike zone has an impact on this game. Look at this pitch, Larry.
This is the only rally that they've had going in the past 5 innings, and it's ended on a pitch that appears to be outside.
You got to believe if Tallman is already moving the glove back behind the plate, he doesn't feel that it's a strike. Certainly Alfonso didn't. Dave McCarty will lead it off. Again, McCarty was up when Eicher got picked off. To close out the Stanford 7th. A very effective Stanford 7th. They scored 3 runs.
Ouch.
You bet. Remember that shin guard the next time you come up, Dave. Maybe a foot guard, too.
Right off the instep, off the top of his foot.
That's the kind of injury that can affect an at-bat. You got to step into the ball. A high heater, one that McCarty could not lay off of. 4th strikeout for Dave Fleming.
Chases the high fastball. It's tough for the right-handers to lay off that pitch. When you're used to the ball being around the knees, all of a sudden it looks like a pumpkin coming up when it's around chest level.
Paul Carey is over 2. He walked in the 4th. Struck out looking to win the 6th. Carey is going through something he's never had to go through before in Omaha. Problems at the plate. And seeing his old pal Dave Fleming doesn't help his feelings at all. To underscore his importance normally to Stanford, consider that he has 55 career home runs to break Mark McGwire's record during the 82 to 84 years. Speaking of records, look at that. 3rd largest crowd, 16,109 here at Rosenblatt Stadium. Carey going down on the same type of pitch he struck out on in the 6th. He just waved at this one.
You had to know it was coming. Steps across, slingshot, John Tudor look, breaking ball in the dirt. Carey will be glad when this night's over.
Steve Weber's wife anxiously looking on. These are anxious moments for all of the fans. Ryan Turner up at the plate with 2 down. Got the old baseball going. That's how she handles her nerves.
She's a little more emotional than her husband is.
Yeah, she sure is. Steve takes it easy. Not bothered by a great deal. You ask him about his team, and he says, well, they chatter a lot, but somebody's got to.
And in the meetings that we have, you ask a question, you get yes, no, yes.
My favorite is not very much. Two down, we're in the eighth. On the other hand, Mark Marquis is a very intense head coach. Always talking it up on the dugout. There he goes. And when he's nervous, really nervous, he leaves that position and goes for some gravel.
He was very intense this afternoon about 5:30 when he found out Stan Spencer couldn't pitch.
The 3-2 pitch. Too good to lay off of, and Fleming has caught his third win. Stanford leads by 2 in the middle of the 8th. The top of the order due up for the Dogs. The fastball up in the zone, too strong for Turner.
And this is the feeling of shaving. Nothing feels better after. Aftershave skin conditioner.
By Menon.
Nothing moves you.
Cougar LS. It's sleek, like a cat. And its speed-sensitive steering gives it cat-like agility. You'll spend endless hours playing with it. In fact, this cat could become man's best friend. Cougar. All this and quality of mercury.
If you want to take great care of your lawn, just remember a great name, Craftsman.
And right now, this Craftsman 2 power-propelled 4-horsepower mower with a 22-inch cut is just $288.
And there's only one place to get it, Sears.
ESPN's presentation of the 1990 NCAA College World Series is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. 4-2 our scores. We move to the bottom of the 8th. Tim Brando and Larry Sorensen. And our storyline, Omaha, Nebraska's Rosenblatt Stadium, Brian Sakinski, allowing only 2 runs, both in the first, off 4 hits. Since then, he's allowed only 2 hits. He has 8 strikeouts. Fleming, short of 1 inning, that being the 7th, has been pretty tough as well. Spencer pulled because of a rib muscle. And that was a huge story that now is on the back page because of the job done by the freshman, Brian Sakinski. The freshman from Library, Pennsylvania. Well, he's putting some in the books tonight.
The key for me, Tim, is no walks. He had 32 walks in 77 2/3 innings coming into this ballgame. He was known to be a little wild but a hard thrower. And after the first inning, he settled down with his curveball and is throwing great strikes. I say great strikes, meaning they're great spots in the strike zone.
Top of the order for the Dogs. They have to feel this may be their best opportunity to crack through. We touched on it last inning when that breaking ball was seemingly out of the strike zone, yet he got the K. Jammed him inside, and McKay Smith is retired in a hurry. You'd think that Georgia would work the count a bit, make him throw an inordinate number of pitches, because he hasn't gone this distance in a long period of time. He's been asked to be a closer by Mark Marquis in tournament play. He has come through for them in that vein.
Georgia figures that they're an aggressive hitting bunch. They're not going to change their game. They're known for their offense.
They're not getting fastballs on the first pitch, though. They're getting the hook, and they can't handle it.
If you can start a hitter off with that kind of breaking ball, which would be a ball if you can lay off, much as Stanford has been doing today of Fleming, now he doesn't know what to look for.
Cooper just took cuts at ball 1 and ball 2. Both breaking balls, and he's down 0-2. But he sends that one into left center. The freshman made a mistake. But look at that! Ryan Turner with the catch of the series. And the wind knocked yet another one down.
The wind's coming almost straight in now, and it knocks this ball down. He's got no chance if there's anything to go about. Watch the effort. Great catch.
Sakinski served up a fat fastball down the middle of the plate with the count at 0-2. Last night, that would have been a home run. Showalter. Don't you know Tallman knows it? Turner just saved the Cardinal. Tallman's gone out. Look. Yeah, they're having a little fun in the Stanford dugout right now. Sakinski up to 101 pitches total. Strike to ball ratio outstanding. His longest appearance of the year.
He has no complete games this year, although he started 9 ball games. But there's no activity in the Stanford bullpen. You can bet that there would have been if Ryan Turner hadn't made that great catch in left field.
It's amazing, this game. We spoke with Mark Marquis. He was concerned about the wind because of all of his right-hand hitters against Fleming. If the wind were blowing out towards right, it would knock down his right-handers if they were pulling the curveball into left center field. And that time, the wind just saved him.
Still 88 miles an hour for Sakinski. It might be his longest outing of the year, but he's 6'4", 205 pounds. He's a strong young man.
Georgia with 4 outs remaining. Sakinski loading up with the breaking ball. Showalter fighting it off.
Two count as the hitter. What's he going to throw me? He's shown he can get his curveball over. I think he's got to go gas.
JR wants to wait a while.
See Tallman give the sign to his bench to speed things up. He knows that Sakinski's in a good groove. Sometimes takes a little while to get that signal from the bench.
Got him with the breaking ball. 9th strikeout for Brian Sakinski. Now he looks ahead to the 9th with a 2-run lead.
Planning. Where'd I get the capital to start this business with my daughter? By investing for the long haul. And forget full commission brokers. I called Charles Schwab. Munis, mutual funds, blue chips, and I save plenty with Schwab's low commissions. Every day I tell my daughter, think long term. Make your own decisions. Be your own man.
Choices. Dad's conservative, and that's okay, but I'm after high return. At Schwab, I can be aggressive. I just bought some high-growth mutual funds and an undervalued stock I know will take off, all by computer and at Schwab's low commissions. Dad says, plan ahead, get there first. Maybe that's why my name's on the door first.
For a free Schwab Fact Kit, call toll-free 800-322-3700. That's 800-322-3700.
We give you more ways to succeed.
Curtis Strange could become the 2nd golfer in history to win the U.S. Open 3 times in a row. But he's got to beat the world's best golfers to do it. The U.S. Open, June 14th and 15th on ESPN.
We move ahead to the top half of the 9th inning. The Stanford Cardinal leading the Georgia Bulldogs 4-2. 12 hits total in the game, just 1 error. A well-played game. Well, we talked to Mark Marquis. He's won 2 national champions. How do you get it done? He believes there are 3 keys to winning a national championship. The man that made the catch Ryan Turner. You have to have a good center fielder. It doesn't hurt to have a pretty good left fielder. Got to cover a lot of ground, get one big break, and have an unexpected star. All three of those usually mean a national championship. Defense and pitching will win you an NCAA crown.
His unexpected star tonight has got to be Brian Sakinski. Great performance.
Tallman trying to lay that one down. They're looking for insurance now.
Never hurts to have some Allstate.
Yeah, you get into that position when it doesn't hurt to have Allstate and then maybe whole staff in the bullpen.
Well, the teams are getting to the point now. You ask them who they're going to pitch. It's Roger Holstaff's day.
Here's the 0-1 to Tallman. Oh, he does it again. Fleming fields it, and the throw in time. He can feel the position.
Good fielding position. One day Fleming ends up, he makes a nice play. Knows he's got to hurry, so he doesn't have time to step and throw. Makes a good play, and he's got a catcher running. That gives him a little help also.
Here is Roger Burnett. Slammed to center. McKay Smith with plenty of room. 2 down. That ball was well hit. Tim Griffin, who's still hitless in the College World Series, was hit by a pitch back in the 7th. And he'll come up with 2 down here in the 9th. Fleming looking to go the distance. If there's a problem with Tim Griffin, it's that he tends to pull the ball a great deal, which is understandable. He crowds the plate. Mark Marquis loves to see them go the opposite way. He does this time, flaring this one into foul territory down the right field line. Mark Marquis likes that quick, short stroke, and then a lot of giddy up. A lot of speed, and then moving runners. Tonight he waited for an opening in Fleming's game. He was behind on the count much of the 7th inning, and he took advantage of it. Was not a hair-raising inning, not the kind of inning that would grab your attention and say, well, Fleming's losing anything. Steve Weber made one trip out, and that was it. And he did get an oh, by the way, number off the plate that helped Stanford get a run with the bases loaded.
The 3 runs happened so quickly, you never really got the feeling that he was in major trouble. It was boom, 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 3 runs are in, now all of a sudden we're out of the inning, and you walk back to the dugout and say, well, what the heck just happened there? Oh, I gave up 3 runs.
Here's the 2-2. Georgia hoping to stay unbeaten so they can advance to the championship game. Stanford 3 outs away from staying in it and forcing another matchup between these two. Grounded to first. Rajevitz has it, and the Cardinal are gone. There's Brian Jester. He's the cleanup man. He's the DH. He's ready for one last crack.
It passed 110 other cars to become one of Car and Driver magazine's 10 best, the distinctive Mercury Sable. The editors of Car and Driver have seen the light.
Nothing moves you like a Mercury.
Sable. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
Yeah, I'm southbound mama. Yeah, coming home to you. Oh, southbound mama. Oh, that's where I'm going to. Heading for the mountains. I'm just looking for the bush.
After 30, life is over. You can't wear a miniskirt. You know why? Thunder dies! Everything sags. You should see the guys you hang out with. Major dweebs. Forget about eating anything that tastes good.
Who says you have to give up the things you like? Give up something you won't miss, like a little oil. Ruffles Light, Cheetos Light, Doritos Light. Never give up the taste.
Tim Brando and Larry Sorensen happy to be with you at Omaha's Rosenblatt Stadium. The Stanford Cardinal leading the Georgia Bulldogs 4-2 in Game 11. One last chance for the Dogs. There's your Peachtree rally hat. Several different kinds of rally hats for the Bulldogs. That's Mike Reban, who was the pitcher against Stanford in that 16-2 victory. He made a comeback. Well, we've seen a lot of guys get out of tough first innings and then recover. It happened tonight for Sikinski of Stanford. Let him off the hook and look out.
The call on Jeff Hammonds at second base, the pickoff call was a key to Reban getting out of trouble. It appeared that he got his foot back in safely, but was called out, and he settled down to pitch a great ball game.
That was in Game 6. This is Game 11, and we're in the ninth. Juster takes the breaking ball in and over for a strike. Juster served a single to right center in the third. He flied out to left back in the sixth. He's 1 for 3. Quickly, Sikinski up on the count 0-2. Got him. That's one.
Tremendous breaking ball from Brian Sikinski. He wasn't that happy in the first inning, but he settled down and he's 2 outs away from the biggest win of his young college career.
Bruce Chick gets a turn. He's 1 for 3. You see the outfield playing for the pull against Chick in left. Swung around the opposite way, however, in center. He could go with the pitch. So Sikinski has 10 strikeouts in the game, and that's an example of perhaps overthrowing. Tallman out there quickly to let him know to get it down in the zone. Boy, that breaking ball has been over the plate time and time again.
He had trouble getting it over early in the ball game. Since then, he's thrown nothing but strikes.
More importantly, though, he threw fastballs early in the count in the first inning, and he's been starting batters with the breaking ball ever since that inning.
But he's still got a good fastball, and that could be part of the reason the defense has shifted around to right. They don't think Georgia will be able to catch up to the fastball.
He walked him, but the heater's still up around 88 miles per hour. That could be a good sign. He still has plenty left. I know there are a lot of people that disdain the gun, whether it be the Jugs gun or the ray gun, but the one thing everyone will agree on, if it shows 88, 89 on a fastball, it does determine whether or not he still has any oomph left in that fastball, and he certainly does.
I think that is the most important thing that the gun does for you, is it lets you see if your pitch is losing it, if he's losing his velocity, getting tired. Sikinski obviously isn't.
Rajevich is up. He grounded out to short to lead off the seventh. Single to left center in the first. He represents the tying run. The base on balls can come back and haunt you at the College World Series. Schick is aboard because of one. He sits on the curve. It's right down the line. Foul. Don January getting out of the way of that one.
Wake up call.
Hello. You're still in Omaha, Don.
You see his reaction, though, when he went down, he had to look towards home plate because he wasn't sure if he could make that call. As he went down, he couldn't follow the ball because he was hitting the dirt. He had to look at Bob Hernandez behind home plate.
He's taking some heat from Hernandez about it now. That's good to keep your humor. These guys take a lot of heat. In this case, January certainly deserved a break. He got one, but he won't get any breaks from Hernandez and the rest of the staff. They'll be talking to him about it the rest of the evening. Just fought that one off. 1-2 the count.
Quite a contrasting coaches. Mark was talking all the time, likes a nice loud dugout. Steve Weber, very stoic, teaches his players the same.
Breaking ball. They look for the appeal at third. Hank Roundtree said, he did not go.
Stanford thinks he does. I think he does.
And he did. 2-2 with one out. Again, up in the strike zone, but served high into right center field. Hammonds will call off carry, and there are two gone. Rajevich knew that was a pitch he could have jumped on.
There haven't been too many of those breaking balls up in the strike zone.
He got two breaks on the breaking ball. The one that nearly took off the head of January. And then that one. A lot of hum babes in that Stanford dugout. Ray Suplee stands in against Brian Sikinski. 0 for 3 tonight, Suplee. Again, representing the tying run. We're in the bottom of the ninth. The Cardinal trying to hang in there against unbeaten Georgia. Force an extra game. Grounded foul down the third base line. These are the games that traditionally bring forth a great deal of drama at the College World Series. The games that could bring elimination. One and two the count to Ray Suplee. Georgia had their ace on the mound, and they know it. This man replaced Stanford's ace Right to shortstop. Stanford stays alive. And then there still were 4. The Bulldogs must recover. The Cardinal hangs in. The final score 4-2. Sakinski with a remarkable performance. And he is our Frito-Lite player of the game for the Stanford Cardinal. And Dave Fleming, who also scattered 6 hits en route to giving up 4 runs and a defeat, his first at the College World Series, our player of the game for the Georgia Bulldogs. Brian Sakinski pitching tonight's game in place of Stan Spencer. Had problems in the first, but came through the remaining 8. And Stan and the rest of the Cardinal couldn't be happier. They hang in, so do we. For Larry Sorensen, I'm Joe.
Oklahoma State earned a berth in the title game with another explosive display of offense in their 3rd straight solid pitching performance. 1990 could be Gary Ward's year. He'll face the survivor of tonight's battle between Georgia and number 1 ranked Stanford. It's their 3rd meeting of the series. Sunday night, some big Bulldog bats stunned Stanford with a 16-2 humbling of the tournament's top seed. The Cardinal regrouped in Wednesday's rematch, hitting all the right corners and heading Georgia off at the pass. It sets the stage for tonight's showdown between a pair of right-handers who must stand up to the pressure of elimination. To the winner goes a shot at the title. Live from Omaha, Nebraska, a national semifinal in the College World Series, 4th-seeded Georgia taking on the number 1 seed, the Stanford Cardinal. Georgia coach Steve Weber is in his 10th year. This would be the pinnacle of his career if he could take his team to the national final. Mark Marquis is becoming a fixture in the championship game. His team won it all in 1987 and 1988. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick, and welcome to the College World Series. Undefeated Oklahoma State is standing by to play for the national championship against the winner of our game tonight, Georgia and Stanford. And for these 2 teams, it's come down to a best 2 out of 3 series. They split the first 2. Georgia winning that game 16-2 on the strength of an 11-run 6th inning and the complete game pitching of Mike Reben. The final was 16-2. Stanford stayed alive in the rematch. They won it 4-2. Brian Sakinski, a surprise starter, he went all the way. It's my pleasure to be working with Jim Cott again. And Jim, we go back to the same starters that pitched Game 6. It's an interesting matchup for these guys.
And keep a close watch on Mike Messina. Mike Messina started against Georgia a few nights ago, dominated the game for 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, didn't walk anybody, but then in the 6th inning, Georgia broke it open, 10 singles and a double. Messina, with a good knuckle curveball, is a much better pitcher than we saw that first outing. Now, Mike Reben came back for Georgia, the senior right-hander, and held down Stanford to just 5 hits, an assortment of off-speed pitches, good slider. It's usually a little more difficult for an off-speed pitcher to beat a team 2 times in a row.
Stanford came into the College Series as the College World Series as the number 1 team in the country, but they got off to a slow start, primarily because Jeff Hammond's got off to a slow start.
Yeah, you know, we use the word disruptive when we talk about leadoff hitters, Ricky Henderson in particular, but it fits Jeff Hammond's. What is disruptive? Well, first of all, the pitcher loses his concentration. Fielders begin to try to handle the ball a little quicker. They fumble the ball. He really sets the table for Troy Paulson. Paulson gets a lot more fastballs to hit. He's the key guy tonight.
All right, this is an elimination game, and for Stanford fans, that's good news. They have won 13 straight elimination games playing out of the losers bracket, including 2 college championships. ESPN's presentation of the 1990 NCAA College World Series is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. And by the new GE Crystal Clear Cordless Telephone from GE Communications Products.
Want great value for your money? Start with a great machine, a Craftsman.
Like this 12-horsepower Craftsman tractor with 40-inch mower deck and 6 speeds, just $11.99. Save $100.
And there's only one place to get it, Sears.
You're up. You're 3 for 3. And you've got the most feared Eastern bat of all. So you figure you'll get his best pitch. The high, hard one. But what if it's a curve or a changeup? No sweat. Everybody knows there's no known defense against an Easton, right? Wrong.
There are those who thirst for something different. An escape from the ordinary. For them, there is a beer that refreshes like no other. Michelob Dry. Once you've experienced its bold taste with no aftertaste, there's no going back.
For all those men who give 110%, there's Speed Stick Antiperspirant. The Wide Stick. It's 110% protection. It glides on dry. Powerful protection against wetness and odor. Speed Stick, 110% protection.
By men.
Michelin High Performance Radials. Everything you'd expect from a Michelin, only faster. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
And now for tonight's Sears Die Hard starting lineups. Georgia comes into the national semifinal 50-19 under 10-year head coach Steve Weber. Center fielder McKay Smith leads it off. He has a .294 average and an excellent on-base percentage. Jeff Cooper will play third and hit number 2 in the order. He's batting .364 in the College World Series. A .337 hitter is next, junior shortstop J.R. Showalter. The cleanup man is D.H. Brian Jester. He's the club leader in home runs with 17. Bruce Chick is number 5 in the order. The junior right fielder has 12 homers with 63 RBIs. Doug Rajevitz will bat 6th. He's at .315 for the season and .400 in the College World Series. In the number 7 slot at .312, freshman All-American Ray Suplee. He'll play left field. The number 8 hitter is a sophomore from Augusta, Georgia, Terry Childers. The catcher has only a .200 average, but is 5 for 11 in the series. And the number 9 hitter is second baseman Joey Alfonso. He comes in at .269, but has had some big hits.
And the Cardinal takes that lineup to the field. Paul Carey is in right. The freshman sensation Jeff Hammond's in center. Ryan Turner made a great catch the other night. He plays left. On the infield, it's Tim Griffin at third. Roger Burnett, best shortstop Marquis has ever had. Troy Paulson, the senior, at second. David McCarty will play first. Troy Tallman behind the plate. And junior Mike Messina, number 1 pick of the Baltimore Orioles. In fact, the Orioles drafted him out of high school a few years ago. That's his record in 1990. Most pitchers have to be at the top of their game to win here at Omaha. Messina's got the kind of talent, the best fastball here, the highest drafted pitcher. He's got a great knuckle curve and a slider, and he can change speed. So a complete pitcher. Ran into problems the other night in the 6th inning. Georgia got 10 singles and a double. And in fact, we had a chance to talk with Steve Weber about the Georgia coach about that game and about facing Messina.
I think Mike was very dominating early in the game, and you know, his velocity is in the 90s, and he was getting us to chase his high fastball some, and then coming back to the breaking ball, and we were unable to lay off of it. But as the game went on, we were able to select pitches better and got some breaking balls in the strike zone. We were able to drive them up the middle.
And that really hasn't been the book on Messina. He's been a slow starter, and if you don't get him early, he's one of those guys that gets better.
And that's the norm with most great pitchers. And on the college level, you call Messina a great pitcher. It's the old, if you don't get him early, you don't get him. Seaver, Gibson, you can name them all. But the other night was a little unusual for Messina. Part of it, I think, was, you know, he came out just blowing the ball. Scouts were saying he could have pitched in the big leagues that night. And when you start out with that explosive a fastball, you only got one way to go, you know, downhill.
McKay Smith will lead it off against Mike Messina. Beautiful night for baseball. The wind can't be more than 2-3 miles an hour, blowing toward left field. Home plate in shadows. And Messina gets McKay to go after a high fastball a little late.
Yeah. We mentioned the shadows, and that will work to Messina's advantage here. 6:40 start about the first couple hours.
The right field still a tough sun field at this time of day. Another heater, this time at 92, and it's 0-2 to McKay Smith. Well, you know, after the other night, Messina is on a mission after getting roughed up in the 6th inning the way he did. Of course, they didn't exactly rip the cover off the ball.
No, in fairness to Messina, a lot of those hits were ground balls.
Another fastball, 3 in a row, and McKay Smith is gone in a hurry. Umpiring tonight behind the plate, Don January at first, Randy Crystal, Bob Hernandez at second base, and down at third, Hank Roundtree. And again, the search for the strike zone tonight. We'll find out where it is in the opinion of Don January in a hurry. This is Jeff Cooper out of Gainesville, Georgia, hitting second. Of course, you get 2 swings and 1 right down the middle. You don't have to worry about the strike zone, do you? Cooper hitting .364 in the College World Series, 4 for 11.
Don January was behind the plate in Stanford's first game here. In that game, he was a rather liberal umpire.
2-0, the count to Cooper. Strike called on the inside corner at the belt.
You know, just to clarify that, because we've talked about it, and it does have an effect on the game. And it isn't that some umpires are good or bad. It's that everybody's strike zone is just a shade different.
Messina 14-4 this year. Comes inside 3-1. Nobody on. Top of the first. 1 gone for Georgia. The winner of this game meets Oklahoma State for the national championship tomorrow, and Stanford won at 87-88. Fastball ripped into right field for a base hit. Paul Carey comes up and throws to second to hold Cooper to a single, but that's his 5th hit of the College World Series. Rosenblatt Stadium, a big ballpark, 343 down the lines, 370 to the power alleys, and no man's land, 420 to dead center. We have seen a couple of prodigious shots here in the last week, but nobody has gone straight away and managed to clear that fence. Showalter, 337, the shortstop, does not run particularly well. Cooper at first doesn't either. 4 stolen bases on the year. At the corner for a strike from Messina.
And you have a pretty good combination to keep whatever running game Georgia would have to keep it down. Messina with a good fastball gets to the plate quicker. Troy Tallman, the catcher, has a great arm.
The 0-1 popped up in the infield. Burnett calls and takes it for out number 2. Showalter gone on 2 pitches. There's Steve Weber, the Georgia coach, 10-year man.
A lot of family here. He's from southeast Iowa, down the road, Stockport, Iowa. He was born and raised. Pitcher at Southern Illinois during his collegiate days.
And here comes a good-looking hitter, the DH, Brian Jester out of Endicott, New York. Hitting .377, even though he only has 2 hits in the College World Series. He can sting it. .17 homers, the club leader. Power to all fields. 2 men out, a runner at first for Georgia. Top of the first inning. The national semifinal of the College World Series. Behind on a fastball, and Messina really bringing it in the first inning, isn't he?
Yeah, and with that fastball, we get another look at Jester's swing at. They're going to try to lay off the high fastball. That's easy to say and hard to do. That ball about belt high has a little hop to it.
0-2 to Brian Jester. Breaking ball missed the corner.
And with Messina's live fastball, as you would expect, the outfield is going to shade the right-hand hitters as if they were left-hand hitters. They're going to shade them around toward right field just a touch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the first inning for Big Mike Messina. And Georgia fails to score in the top of the first. And now for tonight's Sears diehard starting lineups. Mark Marquis is trying to lead Stanford to its 3rd national championship in 4 years. The Cardinal is only 2 wins away. Leading off center fielder Jeff Hammonds. He's a freshman All-American with 47 stolen bases. Troy Paulson will bat number 2 and play second base. He's hitting .471 in the College World Series. David McCarty bats third. The sophomore first baseman has 69 RBIs and a .340 average. Paul Carey is the cleanup hitter. He's the Pac-10 career home run leader and has 16 this year. Ryan Turner will be at left and bat 5th. He's slumping after hitting .370 most of the season. Catcher Troy Tolman is the number 6 man. He's batting .330 over the last half of the year. Shortstop Roger Burnett bats 7th at .274. His hitting has been a bonus with his defensive skills. Third baseman Tim Griffin has been dropped to the 8th spot in the order. He's 1 for 29 in postseason. And Mike Eicher is the DH. He'll take a .286 average into the bottom spot in the order.
Georgia in the field will have Bruce Chick in right. McKay Smith is over in center. Ray Saplee, the freshman, probably more raw ability than anybody on the club, is in left field. Jeff Cooper will play third. J.R. Showalter, their best all-around player, is the shortstop. Joey Alfonso at second. Doug Rajevitz will play first base. Behind the plate, Terry Childers. And on the mound, senior right-hander Mike Reben. A complete game win against Stanford in his last start. 6 feet, 195, not a power pitcher. There's his numbers. And he got the job done with a real quick slider. Good change of speeds, and as you would expect, a senior. I mean, this guy's married with a couple of kids. You know, he's mature and kind of one of the leaders on this pitching staff. We talked to Mark Marquis about the game and that Reben pitched and what Stanford has to do against him tonight.
Well, he does a good job of changing speeds, and the other night he really had us off balance. So we're going to try to, wait a little bit better. We were out front, and we're just going to have to adjust much better than we did the other night.
That's the key word to use there, adjust. I mentioned, when you're not a power pitcher like Messina, you can consistently pull the ball by people for a game or two. Hitters see a guy like Reben 3 and 4 times, and they begin to adjust.
And Hammonds comes up. He is the key to this Stanford offense with Troy Paulson hitting behind him. Paulson's had an outstanding College World Series, as has Hammonds. Goes after the low breaking ball and fans on it.
See him in at the corners, respecting his speed, especially at third, pretty straight away in the outfield.
Ripped to third and caught by Cooper. Hammonds hit a screamer, but Jeff Cooper, diving to his left, made the stop. Troy Paulson, 471 and 5 RBIs in the College World Series. He's just had a heck of a time here in Omaha. Has occasional power, 5 home runs, especially if you pitch him on the inside part of the plate. And Reben has given up 13 homers this year. It's a lot in 18 starts. Strike call.
Troy Paulson's at-bats are really predicated on what Jeff Hammonds does. See, Hammonds gets on. The pitcher pays attention to Hammonds. He gets more fastballs to hit. That's why during the season his average is up. It's a few more sliders here.
You saw had no success in the first meeting between these teams. Swing and a miss, 1 and 2. Paulson was a shortstop on the 88 team that won the national championship. Line down the right field line past the bullpen. Out of play. 1 and 2. Couldn't be a better night. 77 degrees. Wind only at 5 miles an hour, and that's just occasionally. 48% humidity, no chance of rain. Popped off the left side. Cooper gives chase near the dugout and makes the catch. 2 gone. I guess we have the good weather in honor of the visiting president of the United States.
Only fitting.
Here's a look at what the sun does in right, and it's brutal looking up into that. Got about another hour to go before it's no longer a problem.
There's Paul Carey. Bruce Chick this is the right fielder. This is his first year playing that sun in Omaha. Paul Carey, the Stanford right fielder, has been out there before.
McCarty, only 2 for 14 in the College World Series, but 340 on the year with 12 homers and 69 RBIs. 2 gone, nobody on in the Stanford first inning, scoreless ballgame.
David McCarty's hitting in that 3-hole for a reason. That is usually your best pure hitter. If it's a run producer, an RBI guy, that's an advantage. But most of the time, it's a high average hitter. He has great bat speed.
Number 5 all-time in single-season RBIs for the Stanford Cardinals, 69 this year. A lot of power, but hasn't hit a home run since May 13th. Fouls this one out of play. 2 balls and a strike to David McCarty. And a big crowd on hand here for the single game tonight. Oklahoma State has already advanced to the championship. They'll play tomorrow. Probably out keeping their bats warm today. They have just pounded it during the College World Series.
Somebody could hold them to 6 runs. It would be a well-pitched game.
That's exactly right. Rebound low.
Good discipline right there. I mentioned bat speed. What does that do for a hitter? Well, it allows McCarty to wait. All hitters would like to wait till the last possible moment before they commit. Don't get fooled on the off-speed stuff. And then when that bat speed gives you the ability to hit the off-speed pitches as well as a fastball.
There you see the season numbers on Paul Carey. 267 for the College World Series. But against Georgia in the first meeting, 3 for 4 and a home run. It was definitely his best game here in Omaha. Throw over, and McCarty is back. Only stolen 3 bases this year. Normally they don't want him to run with Carey up there. Drilled to left center field. McKay Smith on the run and got there. May have misjudged it the last moment. Had to dive but made the catch. It was slicing away from him all the way. A fine play in center field by McKay Smith takes away an extra base hit from Paul Carey and ends the threat for Stanford in the first. We've played 1 full. It's 0-0.
Fairway Ford announces special purchase prices on 1990 Escort LX 4 doors with air, power steering, power brakes, sport wheels, and more. $7,950. 1989 Crown Victoria LXs, including power windows, power door lock, screws, half-vinyl roof. $13,900. 1990 Taurus GL wagons, tilt steering, cruise control, luggage rack, split seat, stereo, radio, sport wheels, and more. Only $13,900 at Fairway. Fair people, fair prices, Fairway Ford.
Now at Appliance Land, register for great prizes and enjoy special savings during the National Home Appliance and Electronic Sale and Sweepstakes through June 10th.
See the all-new 1990 General Electric energy-efficient gas appliances at Appliance Land, your local General Electric showcase dealer. Appliance Land has the area's largest General Electric appliance display.
The National Home Appliance and Electronic Sale and Sweepstakes now at Appliance Land.
Before records are broken and headlines are made, get the first and most informative look at all the upcoming day's action on Sports Center Game Day. Saturday and Sunday mornings at 11:30 Eastern on ESPN.
We go to the top of the second. Georgia and Stanford 0-0 in the game that will decide who gets the chance to play for a national championship. They split the first 2 meetings. Stanford not used to being beaten, certainly not used to being pounded, but they were clobbered 16-2 in the first meeting as Reben went all the way, gave up only 1 earned run. But Stanford showed its class, came back in an elimination game and beat Georgia 4-2 to force this 3rd and final game in the series. And Brian Sikinski, who found out on very short notice that he was going to be the starter, did a great job. And Mark Marquis agreed with you that it was probably a good thing he didn't find out until late.
Yeah, especially a freshman. Oftentimes, guys, if they know they're starting, they spend a little time worrying about it. He had no time. They gave him the ball, and he cranked it up.
Bruce Chick will lead it off. Top of the second inning for Georgia. 4 for 13 in the College World Series, hitting .308. Slaps this to short. Burnett with a great arm comes up, throws, and got it. So 1 gone on 1 pitch. Burnett just has outstanding tools at short, and even though he only hits in the 270s, I really think he is a tremendous prospect. One thing you can do is carry shortstops,
regardless of their batting average.
Doug Rajevitz is a very sweet swing and comes up hitting .315. 4 for 10 in the College World Series so far. Messina ahead in the count, 0-1. Strike 2 call, 0-2 to Doug Rajevitz.
There's an idea of what Paul Carey in right field has to contend with here in the twilight.
The 0-2, a fastball just missing the corner on the outside part of the plate. Messina, first-round draft pick of the Baltimore Orioles, the 20th player chosen overall this week in the Major League Draft. Got him with a breaking ball, an off-speed pitch for his 3rd strikeout of the game. And if he gets that over, he's going to be wicked.
Well, you know, last game he only threw 3 sliders. He's already thrown 5, and then he's got that knuckle curve, that overhand knuckle curve. Very unusual pitch, kind of a 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, completely a vertical break.
2 gone for Georgia, top of the second inning. And Ray Suplee will get his first crack at it. And a bases loaded double in that 11th run 6th against Messina. Inside for a ball. That first game, they did not touch him through 5 innings. And then things came apart. Inside, 2-0.
You know, a lot of the balls that went through the infield that night, there were comments about them, and there has been the entire time at the College World Series. This is a very fast infield, faster than many of the teams are used to playing on.
Strike call.
But you know, the team that has played outstanding defense has been Georgia. And Steve Weber was saying, oh, this field is slow compared to some of the hard fields we played, so it's probably not a shock to them at all.
A couple of the players have likened the speed of ground balls to what you'd get on AstroTurf. High fly to left field. Turner coming on, still coming on. Makes the catch. No runs, no hits, nobody left in the second inning. We go to the bottom of the second. Georgia and Stanford are scoreless.
Once you hit 30, it's all over. Your legs are shot, your whole body goes to pot. Forget about sports entirely. You have to be serious all the time. You can't eat anything that tastes good. Creamed corn.
Who says you have to give up the things you like? Give up something you won't miss, like a little oil. Ruffles Light, Cheetos Light, Doritos Light. Never give up the taste.
If you want to take great care of your lawn, just remember a great name, Craftsman.
And right now, this Craftsman 2 power-propelled 4-horsepower mower with a 22-inch cut is just $288.
And there's only one place to get it, Sears.
Citizen ProMaster Diver's Chronograph. Digital depth sensor. Elapsed dive time alarm.
So, exactly how long have you been a diver?
Citizen ProMaster. For professional use only.
Go to the bottom of the second. We've only had 1 hit in the ball game. That was for Georgia. Top of the first inning. And Georgia pitchers, unlike the other staffs in the College World Series, they've had to use 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. They've only gone with 2 men, and they've done the job.
Well, and all the coaches said coming in here, if you've got 2 outstanding pitchers, you can win it. And Georgia has that chance. Mike Reben has done a great job. He doesn't strike out a lot of hitters. You notice the Hammonds hit the ball in the nose, and Carey hit the ball well, but Georgia has a great defense. And when you're playing in the field and you got a guy that gets it over the plate, you make better plays.
Stanford looking to break out of a batting slump, hitting under 200 as a team. And Ryan Turner, 133 in the College World Series. He does have a home run. Foul off the right side, 1-1. Jim, is an advantage for a team to see a pitcher a second time around, or is it an advantage for the pitcher to see the team a second time?
In this case, there's no question it's an advantage for Stanford to see Reben.
1-1. Leadoff hitter, bottom of the second for the Cardinal. Strike called, and Reben has had outstanding control.
We've talked about the center fielders and how important it is here in Omaha with the vast amount of ground to cover. Now, McKay Smith plays a rather deep center field. We've seen Ron Lim and Danny Perez play in a little bit.
Popped off the right side, drifting back toward the stands, and will make it about 15 rows back.
Getting back to that advantage of seeing him again. Now, if you're a power pitcher like Messina or Nolan Ryan type of guy, it doesn't make that much difference because you know what you're going to get. But here's the kind of guy that you want to be able to time. And the more times you see him, it makes sense, the better chance you have of timing him.
In the bottom of the second inning, 1-2 to Ryan Turner. Make it 2-2. Nobody out, nobody on for Stanford. The Cardinal and the Bulldogs of Georgia tied 0-0 in a national semifinal. The winner will meet Oklahoma State tomorrow for the national championship in Omaha. Little check swing, bloop towards center field. Smith comes on in a hurry and on his knees makes the grab.
Man, he's got all the moves. I mean, the catch he made to end the first inning, he kind of glided with as if he had it all the way and then made a great dive. And this is great timing right there. See, rather than make the shoestring catch, you're able to catch the ball as if you're standing on your feet, but you do it on your knees.
Reben has retired the first 4 batters he's faced, and now we'll look at Troy Tallman, who is hitting .231 in postseason play with 5 RBIs. Reben looks like he's got a motion that would be a little difficult for a hitter to pick up, that very wristy finish. That was picked up pretty well, driven deep to left field, way back, and it's gone. Troy Tallman with his 10th home run of the year, and Stanford goes in front 1-0. We told you Reben had been touched up for 13 homers coming into this game.
Location, keeping the ball down, very important to Mike Reben with that good slider. And you see that one hang up about a letter high right in Tallman's eyes. And got that barrel out in a hurry.
So Stanford gets his first hit. A home run from Tallman, and the Cardinal on top 1-0. This is Roger Burnett, the shortstop from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Reben outside for a ball. And so far in this series, if you've scored first, you've lost. I think Stanford will take the lead happily anyway. Low, ball 2.
Notice the next 2 pitches to Burnett after the home run. That's what goes through a pitcher's mind. You hang one and you say, now I got to really keep it down, and you over adjust and you miss the strike zone low. Out of it.
1 gone here in the Stanford second. Hit toward the hole. Rajevitz comes up and makes the play himself. 2 outs. And now we'll see Tim Griffin, who everybody in the ballpark would like to see get a base hit. 0 for 14 in the College World Series. In postseason, he is 1 for 29 and just buried in a slump. He's not swinging the bat very well in batting practice either.
We saw that happen to LSU's fine third baseman Rich Cordani. This is a guy that had a great year. They would not have been in Omaha without his production, and he just had a difficult time in this short series. Griffin going through the same thing.
Hits a straightaway center. Smith retreats a few steps and makes the catch. Stanford gone in the second inning, but a run on one hit. A home run by Tallman, and it's 1-0 Cardinals.
At Florida, it was very important that I had an identity as a runner. I wasn't very comfortable saying that I was an artist. I thought that was a big claim. But people knew who I was, and they recognized me. I didn't expect that. They followed my progress. They were happy for me when I had successes in races, and that meant a great deal. For me, athletics is the way you learn and the way you get yourself to do new things. It's almost like learning another language. I mean, you're sort of learning to crawl. You become familiar with different things, and then you learn to use them, like a vocabulary in another language. The way I run and the way I learn languages or something is also the way I paint and the way a lot of people write, in a process of editing, in a process of getting something in the form they want. Art is an intellectual pursuit, I think, much like running is. And college was real important to me for that.
This message furnished by the NCAA.
Part of the crowd watching the national semifinal of the College World Series. We go to the top of the third with Stanford leading Georgia 1-0. The winner, of course, will meet Oklahoma State. Don't know whether to call it a privilege or not. Oklahoma State is just shredding everybody. They're getting runs. They're getting pitchers. Stanford ERA in that one loss 14.90, and this is a capsule of what has happened in the College World Series. We have not had a save yet because most of the games haven't been close, an average of 7 runs a game difference.
And that was a question mark coming into this College World Series, is that none of the 8 teams had a real bona fide closer. They haven't needed one.
Terry Childers will lead it off in the Georgia third inning. And Messina has really been in control through the first 7 batters he's faced. Alfonso on deck, and then we'll go back to the top of the order with McKay Smith. Bullet of a fastball for a called strike.
You know, the power pitchers, it's almost like they're going to knee themselves in the stomach. Look at that leg kick, and that's where they get the drive, right there.
Swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Messina. That's 4 through 2 1/3 innings.
And his motion identical on every pitch. That the pitchers call it the release point. Coming out of the same area. Wow, look at the down action on that knuckle curve.
And he just got Georgia's hottest hitter, Childers. Only 200 on the year, but 455 in the College World Series. And this will bring up second baseman Joey Alfonso, the number 9 hitter. Comes in at 269. Called strike.
Talking about that release point. What is it and where is it? Look right here where the ball comes out of Mike Messina's hand. See, now to a hitter, and you can see the spin on that ball. Weekend that the hitter can, but you see that coming out of the same area. A lot of hitters like to read a pitcher. They'll say, well, he drops down a little on his curveball, or he's on top a little more, and they can read the different release points, and that'll help them.
Lays one down the third base line. Griffin comes on, scoops, throws off balance, and got it. So Alfonso tries to bunt his way on, and Griffin, who has been in a terrible batting slump, has not let it affect his fielding.
We said you win a lot of ball games with hitting, like Oklahoma State, but you usually win championships with pitching and defense. Tim Griffin isn't hitting, but look at the nice play and the plays that Georgia has already made tonight.
Back to the top of the order, and McKay Smith, who struck out swinging his first time up. 2 gone, nobody on for Georgia here in the third. Messina has just been masterful so far. Messina delivers outside. You talk about hitters trying to pick up the rotation on the ball. The guys that have are all in the Hall of Fame. Guys like Musial and Williams, he said they knew what it was as soon as it left his fingertips. Hit down the left field line. Turner coming over. Foul territory. Stumbled and made the catch. Tripped over the mound, down in the bullpen, and still reached out and got it. Great play by Ryan Turner.
And I hope baseball management is watching this, because bullpens aren't meant to be out there near the field of play. It could cause injury. Look what his ankle did right there. Very dangerous play.
You could lose a player on one pitch. Bottom of the third we go. 1-0 Stanford.
When you get your Cellular One phone, you get more than just a phone. You get an account representative who helps you choose the best phone and price plan for your needs. Professional installation, engineers in your hometown, local system management, and customer service that's right around the corner. That's great company. That's Cellular One.
Charlie, you won't believe what just happened.
Cellular One, the first choice in cellular.
Congratulations to 1990 graduates from Fairway Ford. And has Fairway got a deal for you on 3 of the most popular 1990 Ford models? 2.9% financing. 2.9% financing on 90 Mustangs. 2.9% financing on 90 Probes. 2.9% financing on 90 Escorts. Save thousands of dollars with this low-cost financing on Mustangs, Probes, and Escorts. Fair people, fair prices, Fairway Ford.
We'll go to the Stanford third inning with the Cardinal leading 1-0 on a solo home run by Troy Tallman. And it's been an overpowering performance by Messina so far for the Stanford Cardinal.
Getting a little stimulation, a little massage there between innings.
Mike Eicher will lead it off. He's the DH in there because David Holbrook still suffering from a sprained ankle that he got sliding into second base the other day. So Eicher is hitting .286 with no homers and 3 RBIs. Will get a chance to hit in the College World Series. Had only 31 at-bats this year coming into the competition here in Omaha. Mark Marcus. Look at his College World Series record. 16-9, 2 championships. He's done a tremendous job. Reben gets it in for a strike. Sort of short arms it up there, doesn't it?
And that motion that you mentioned last inning, that could be a problem. When you see a guy that's not a power pitcher and he's successful, you know it's a variety of things, and one of them might be an irregular motion.
Pop foul out of play.
And you mentioned the short arm. What's the difference? We see the long extension of a guy like Mike Messina. Look, it's almost like Reben is throwing the ball out of his shoulder socket. That is a very short arm motion and is a different look for the hitter.
2-2 called, strike 3. Eicher is gone. 1 down, bottom of the third.
And that's where Reben has to pitch to be effective. You see Childers' target and right on the outside corner at the knees.
First strikeout for Reben, and Jeff Hammonds will come up the top of the order. He lined out to the third baseman Jeff Cooper, leading off the ball game for Stanford. Freshman All-American. First one Stanford has ever had. And it's not the freshman All-American team, it's the regular All-American team. He made it as a freshman. Tapped down the third baseline foul.
Now we've talked about release point, and it's just where that ball comes out of the pitcher's hand. That's where the hitter tries to pick it up. You see Mike Reben with that very short arc, very short arm action.
Hammonds 5 out of 17 here in the College World Series, and every time he's gotten on, he's caused the other team problems. Just missed. 1-1. Hammonds turned down a ton of money to play college baseball. Went after a low fastball, fouled it back.
The one area where he will improve, and you can see by that swing and the swing he took in the first at bat, even though he ripped the line dry. But Mark Marquis says, as all good hitters coming out of high school, they're probably power hitters. He's a free swing, tries to pull the ball. I'm sure in years to come he's going to learn to use the entire field and become even a better hitter.
Ripped to left center, base hit. So Hammond's on with one out and gives you all kinds of possibilities with Troy Paulson coming up next.
Yeah, that automatically brings a smile to Troy Paulson's face for a couple of reasons. See, he doesn't have to be a typical number 2 hitter and be ready to hit and run. Hammonds has the green light. He can go whenever he wants to. And Paulson knows pitchers are going to throw me a lot of fastballs because they want to get the ball to the catcher in a hurry.
Paulson popped up his first time out, and Hammonds at first with 47 stolen bases, a school record. Maybe ready to test the arm of Terry Childress.
See, he had a notion there. He started leaning towards second, and a couple or 3 or 4 throws from Reben gives Hammonds a little better read.
He's got a huge lead over there. He's right near the cutout of the grass where it comes back to parallel, and he's right out there on the edge. Now even a little past it. Fake to start. Pitch taken high for ball.
Yeah, the good base stealers, Lou Brock and Joe Morgan, Campaneris, they will read that pitcher's move and just get an extra inch or 2, an extra half a foot.
Really, once they're out there with the speed they have, any kind of jump and a throw over gets away, but not far enough where Jevons chases it down. When they get that extra foot out there, you're just not going to throw them out.
You see, and when we talk about disrupting a team, this is what happens. Now, Reben has his concentration directed toward Hammonds, looking at him right there, and you lose that for a minute, and you throw Paulson a belt-high fastball, and that's why he's had such good numbers this year.
Paulson hit 271 last year, hitting 344 this season, and 471 coming into this game in the College World Series. Hammonds dives back again. We're in the bottom of the third, 1 out for Stanford, a runner at first. Troy Paulson is the hitter. Hammonds is not going, and Paulson fouls it back 1-1.
The other thing that a guy like Hammonds does, as soon as the ball is hit, infielders want to deliver a little quicker, outfielders on a base hit. It disrupts the entire defense.
We saw that a couple of times in an earlier Stanford game, one on a double play where the team botched it because they knew Hammonds was on there, and another on a relay from the outfield. They just tried so hard to get it in a hurry, they didn't get it in at all.
Whitey Herzog said it best. He said speed doesn't slump, and anytime you've got speed, you get on the bases, it's there all the time. It's a great weapon, both offense and defense.
Hammonds isn't going, called strike 2. Hammonds looks like he was built for the Cardinals, doesn't he?
You see Troy right there. He took a couple pitches for the club. He kind of glanced at Hammonds like, hey, I've taken a couple of fastballs to let you steal, but now I got 2 strikes.
1-2. Hammonds diving back again.
Once he has the comfortable lead, then it's all a matter of reading Reben's motion and getting that good jump.
He's extended his lead again, and the throw very close with Jevons put the tag on just late.
Pitcher tries to catch him. See, just leaning towards second. Pitcher tries to time that move. If you get a runner leaning ever so slightly, chances are he won't get back in time.
He's had to dive back about 5 times now and lead a bit shorter this time. He's on his way. Pitch out. The throw. Even with the pitch out and a fastball, they couldn't get him. And a good throw from Childers.
And not a particularly good jump. I mean, he turned on a Burners about 4 strides towards second base. And here's what makes base stealers effective. Good throw by Childers. Watch this late slide. In fact, he comes off the bag for an instant. They got him out like that in the other night's game. Good base stealer slide late, banged their way into the bag, and then just got his foot back in time.
So now Hammond's at second, and Paulson with a 2-2 count. Makes the high pitch and fouls it straight back. It's got to be frustrating when you call it right. You call the pitch out, you get a fastball, you make a good throw, and the guy's safe anyway.
I hope he hits a double. You don't have to worry about
That's
that.
right. Not above stealing third either. Showalter trying to sneak in behind him as he gets his lead off of second. Ball low, Childers blocks it. Count goes full to Paulson.
See, when Hammonds takes his lead, here's another way that he alters the defense. Showalter to try to keep him at second base. Watch him come in. See, he's taking himself out of his regular position.
Leaves a huge hole on the left side. Paulson pops it foul. Could be playable for Rajevitz. Had to fight the sun a little bit and makes the catch. And 2 gone for Stanford. And for one of the few times in the College World Series, Paulson doesn't deliver with Hammonds in scoring position. Good job of pitching by Riemann. McCarty comes up. He walked in the first. McCarty, as you see, no hits against Georgia, 0 for 6. He does have 2 hits in the series. 2 outs now. Even a little high.
Compared to most of the teams here, McKay Smith plays a rather deep center field. Now, he does come in a little on the pitch, but that could be a factor, you know, on some base hits with guys on second. Hammond's probably not. You won't throw him out anyway.
No, he'd have to come in about another 60 feet to have a shot at Hammond's pickoff play at second. Alfonso puts the tag on, but late.
But, you know, you get a close game in the 7th or 8th inning. A lot of the teams that play their infielders a little bit have a better shot at knocking the run off at home.
Hammonds is one of those guys on second base. If he's off at the crack of the bat and the ball's hit back up the middle and somebody has to dive behind the bag to get it, he's got a chance to score. One and 0 to McCarty. Strike call, 1-1. Stanford already up 1-0 on Tallman's home run. And the Cardinal bidding for more here in the 3rd. Rip towards short. Showalter throws him out. So Stanford gets a hit, but leaves Jeff Hammonds at second base. We've played 3. It's 1-0.
Kodak presents the film. That's a camera. That's recyclable. Take your shots, bring it in for processing, get great color prints back, then grab another. The film. That's a camera by Kodak.
Daihatsu owners talk about Daihatsu from Japan.
When you can recommend a car to your best friend, you are driving the right car.
We're talking about style
and performance. Japanese quality I can afford.
You get the same quality in Rocky, the wide-track 4x4 by Daihatsu.
That zippy 4-cylinder fuel-injected engine really gets it around.
And Rocky has the widest wheel track in its class. Today, there's a Daihatsu that's just right for you. Daihatsu, one of the most respected names in Japan for over 80 years.
Want great value for your money? Start with a great machine, a Craftsman.
Like this 12-horsepower Craftsman tractor with 40-inch mower deck and 6 speeds, just $11.99. Save $100.
And there's only one place to get it, Sears.
Get ready for bumper-to-bumper excitement on NASCAR's toughest road course. See the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 from Sears Point, and you could win a new car. Live Sunday afternoon at 3 Eastern on ESPN.
We'll go to the top of the 4th with Stanford leading Georgia 1-0, and Mike Messina has given up a first-inning single, and that's it.
And one of the reasons that's it, look at the release point on Mike Messina. On the right side of your screen, the curveball, and it'll come out right about above the 2 on that 420 sign back there. So if you're a hitter, you don't know what pitch is coming, but it's coming out of that area, and that's that good curveball. And then here he comes with the blazer. And when you're standing in the batter's box, it looks the same. And with that 90-plus fastball and the sharp curve, really doesn't give a hitter much reaction time.
Cooper, who has the only hit, will lead it off in the Georgia fourth inning. Georgia hoping Messina will lose his stuff, as he did the first time they faced him, when they had an 11-run sixth after he had shut them down. Ripped foul outside third.
You know, he was getting that little massage between innings, and I don't know if that would just be, to keep your arm loose, but a guy like that comes out, he's so pumped and he throws hard early in the game. I'm sure he'd like to gear himself down a little bit.
0-1 to Cooper, the senior from Gainesville, Georgia.
Look at that strikes balls ratio. That's why he's a #1 pick.
Cooper with that open stance and then dives back toward the plate. Been a consistent hitter all year. Over 300. Hit hard toward third. Griffin throws him out. One gone in the fourth. Stanford has been flawless behind Messina so far, who has been flawless himself.
Well, even though Jim Brock and his Sun Devils are not here, they have some fans here.
Great stadium for this College World Series. Seating more than 16,000, and in the next 5-year contract that they've just signed, going to put about $8 million in improvements, we understand. Make it a great ballpark. And one thing we have been assured that they will do is cover up that top row of billboards in the outfield that caused the home run that wasn't, and a couple of confusing plays at other times. It's impossible to tell where the ball hits. That top row is really a few feet in most cases behind the lower fence and is out of play. So anything off of that. There's a drive to deep left center field. Crushed. Turner going back. It'll go all the way to the wall. Turner slips on that track. Showalter around second. He'll hold there. So a shot to the gap in left center off the bat of J.R. Showalter. And for about the 5th or 6th time, Jim, we've seen somebody slip on that warning track.
And we've seen Georgia once again try to read Mike Messina. Gets a good fastball up in the zone. And even though Messina is a hard thrower, his fastball is rather true. He's given up 11 home runs. There's the warning track you're talking about. I'm sure that'll be an area that will be fixed next year. That's a hazard for outfielders right now.
Sure is. Jester struck out swinging in the first inning. The track is loose gravel. Loose being the operative word. One out, a runner at second, J.R. Showalter. And this is Jester, takes a called strike. I think there's so much emphasis, Jim, on the speed, especially with the jugs gun and things like that. And as you pointed out, if it doesn't have movement, speed alone won't get it done. Jester popped down the right side. McCarty is there to make the catch for the second out.
That's why it's important for Messina, as it is for all pitchers, but he's got to get the knuckle curve and the slider over. Even Nolan Ryan and Clemens and Gooden, they have to get the breaking pitch over to make their fastball effective. And most right-handers, why I don't know, but most right-handers, they have very little movement. Power, but not a lot of movement. Left-handers seem to have that sinking action all the time. So once you time a fastball like Messina's, it'll go.
Tallman wants to go out to check with Messina as Bruce Chick comes up with 2 outs.
Right now they might be talking about Bruce Chick and Doug Rajevitz. Got first base open. It's just a 4th inning, but a 1-run game, and runs look like they might be a little precious. They're going to say, who would we rather face? Tom Dutton, the Stanford pitching coach, sends them the pitches. Messina has the option to make the final decision.
Chick and Rajevitz both have 4 hits in the College World Series, so not a whole lot to choose off their averages there. and both in the low 300s for the season. Line drive, base hit left field. Turner fields it. Here's the throw to the plate. Not in time, and Georgia has tied it. Bruce Chick delivers with a line drive single. Got a couple of balls hitting real hard in this inning.
Well, in his last start, it was the 6th inning, but now Mike Messina has made some hitter's pitches here in the 4th. Look at that ball that Chick, a breaking ball up above the belt. The pitch to Showalter was a belt-high fastball.
Here's Rajevich, struck out swinging his first time up. He has 8 home runs. Lines this one to center field. Hammonds comes up and on his way to third as Chick. They'll cut off the throw. Runners at first and third with 2 out. And Georgia with 3 hits in the inning. So both Chick and Rajevich get their 5th hit of the College World Series.
Yeah, this is a big test right now for Messina and Mark Marquis. You know, he'd like to look ahead to tomorrow's championship game. He's got Stan Spencer. Sikinski pitched 9 innings the other night. Scott Weiss is the pitcher that he'll go to late in the game, but it's only the 4th inning.
Really, he has a problem with Spencer. He doesn't know if he'll be available because he's had a muscle injury in his rib cage.
Yeah, and the one area where Messina has excelled is that in games like this where maybe they're hitting his fastball, he's been able to go to his other pitches. But big difference between the way he pitched in the first 3 innings and the quality of the pitches right here. Most of them up in the zone and much flatter with the breaking ball.
Marquis has finished his chat with his starting pitcher. Georgia threatening to take the lead. They have scored here in the 4th inning and have tied it at 1-1. Bruce Chick at third. And Doug Rajevich at first with 2 gone. And Ray Suplee will come up. He flied out his first trip. Childers is on deck, hoping they can keep it alive here in the Georgia 4th. Bulldogs have never been to the championship game of the College World Series. Stanford has won it 2 of the last 3 years. Bulldogs one of 3 Southeastern Conference teams that made the final 8 this season. A ball, no strikes to Suplee. Very talented freshman. 4th round draft choice of the Kansas City Royals. Turned down that offer to play for Georgia. First and third, 2 outs. Got another pitch up line, fair inside the line. Chick will score. Rajevich is on his way to third. They wave him around. Rajevich will score. And Suplee is in at second with a stand-up 2-run double. So the wheels have come off Mike Messina's pitching machine here in the 4th.
And a couple innings earlier than they did the other night. And when Mike Messina gets tattooed like this, very demoralizing. I mean, Suplee with a great at-bat. Gets that bat head out, pulls it down the line. You know, scouts are like carpenters. They're looking for tools. And when you talk about, that's all they can really judge player on. And Ray Suplee on this Georgia team has the best raw tools. Arm, speed, strength. Good example of it there.
Weiss is up and warming in the Stanford bullpen. Terry Childers, the catcher, a 200 hitter on the season, rips an RBI single down the line. He'll go for 2. Turner comes up throwing, and Childers with a head-first slide for a double. 4-1 Georgia. Now Stanford is going to do everything it can to stall for time at this point because Messina is throwing nothing but line drives.
And Childers was not a good average hitter during the season. That ball's 90 miles an hour plus, but they're all geared for it. Second time around.
See Griffin way off the line. Childers 6 for 13 in the College World Series. This is a guy who hit 200, and that includes the 6 for 13 to get his average up to 200.
You know, this is exactly the reverse of what you'd expect. You would expect Reben to have more trouble with Stanford, but they have solved Messina again.
4-1 Georgia with a 4 spot in the top of the 4th. Joey Alfonso, the number 9 man in the order, comes up with 2 outs. He grounded out his first trip up, trying to deliver with 2 gone. Pop down the right field line. Carey hustles over. He's there and makes the catch. But Georgia explodes on Mike Messina and scores 4 times in the top of the 4th. They lead it 4-1.
If you just ask for a light beer, give me a light. You'll never know what you'll get. Buds. No, actually, Bud Light. So if you want the clean, fresh taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, ask for Bud Light. Yours? No, because everything else... Give me a light. Showtime! ...is just a light.
Daihatsu owners talk about Daihatsu from Japan.
When you can recommend a car to your best friend, you are driving the right car.
We're talking about style
and performance.
Japanese quality I can afford.
You get the same quality in Rocky, the wide track 4x4 by Daihatsu.
That zipping 4-cylinder fuel-injected engine really gets it around.
And Rocky has the widest wheel track in its class. Today, there's a Daihatsu that's just right for you. Daihatsu, one of the most respected names in Japan for over 80 years.
Georgia gets 4 in the top of the 4th to lead at 4-1 over Stanford. And Jim, one very interesting thing about this, Stanford bunches its outfielders, and 3 of those base hits have been right down the line for extra bases, and the outfielders have had to go a long way to get it.
And it's given Mike Messina a headache. He can't believe it. I mean, he's dominated a lineup like no other pitcher for the first time around. And it appears that his night is over. Scott Weiss, after that visit with Tom Dutton, the Stanford pitching coach, is up and getting ready.
Really difficult to wait to make decisions when you're 1 game away from going home or 1 game away from playing for the national championship. And Weiss has been their best man out of the bullpen, normally a closer, but they say he can give you 4 or 5 innings. And Messina just really got roughed up. 5 hits and 4 runs, and all shots. I mean, there wasn't a cheap one in the bunch. Paul Carey will lead it off for Stanford in the bottom of the 4th.
You know, and that's all part of playing, going up the level of professional baseball. Number 1 draft pick. You anticipate him pitching in the big leagues someday. You know, you come out of high school and you're all world, right? You beat everybody. You never lost. And then all of a sudden you get tattooed that first time, and it's a little shock. Now you're the number 1 draft pick. You're striking out guys more than 1 an inning, and you have outings like this.
Carey rips it off the glove of Alfonso at second, hustles into right field, throws not in time. Base hit for Carey as the line drive ate up Alfonso.
Well, he's the senior, he's one of their leaders, and he knows this is a key inning. Anytime you get a few runs to work with, in Mike Reben's case, that ball was scalded. Joey Alfonso hustled to pick it up, and Carey beat it out. So the standpoint of scoring runs, this is the inning for Stanford right here.
Turner and Tallman, the next 2 hitters. Turner flied out. Tallman, of course, had the solo homer to put Stanford on top in the 2nd inning. Carey can steal a base, only has 7 this year, but as a freshman he had 17. Don't expect him to run down 4-1, but he does have good speed over there. Inside for a ball.
Talked about the LSU lineup, for example. The 2, 3, 4 hitters were not productive. Oklahoma State has been unbelievable. And for Stanford to win, Carey and Ryan Turner hitting in the 5th hole now, they need some production from those 2 guys.
Turner has done very little home run here in the College World Series, but only hitting 133 coming into this game. Strike called, 1-1. With Carey at first and nobody out.
That's what the heart of the Cardinal order has done. They have been held down.
Squares around a bunt, fouls it back 1-2.
Probably not what Mark Marquis shaking his head right there. You normally don't put a guy in the 5-hole and say beat out a bunt. He's there to do some damage. Sure, you're 3 runs down, you get him back 1 at a time, but your 5-hole hitter's guy can hit an extra base hit.
Yeah, Jeff Cooper deep and tried to lay it down. Here's the 1-2, just low, 2-2. Sort of tells you what's going through the Stanford hitters' minds, though, as we showed you the stats on how the big guys have struggled. Outside of Hammonds and Paulson at the top of the order, it's really been a drought. Fouled back, 2-2. Burnett and Tolman waiting to have their shot. Stanford has hit a couple of balls hard, had 3 hits as we're into the 4th inning. But Reben doing the same thing to them he did in the first start. Maybe give up a couple of hits, but not much more. Just missed the outside.
They say it about a lot of teams. They tend to take on the personality of their coach. You know, here's Steve Weber, just very quiet, low-key kind of a guy. Yeah, we pitch a little bit. We play pretty good defense. We don't run exceptionally well. And like that call from Don January.
Here's the payoff pitch. Carey on his way. Called strike 3. The throw down. Carey steals the base. Turner has a few words for home plate umpire Don January as he goes back to the dugout with the first out.
Well, nothing wrong with that pitch. Once again, you're hitting in the 5-hole and your team's down 3 runs. You don't want to get caught playing soldier boy. And that's right on the outside corner.
Second strikeout.
See Alfonso kind of holding his ground, a little late in covering there on the 3-2 pitch, getting in position to field the ball, not cover the bag.
Tolman comes up 1 for 1, a solo homer in the second, a runner in scoring position, 1 out for Stanford here in the 4th. Foul back, 0-1. Shadows have almost reached the pitcher's mound now. Home plate has been in shadow since the beginning of the game. And soon that pitcher's advantage coming out of the sun into the twilight will be gone. Just missed with a breaking ball, 1-1. Reben has done his job. He's been, even when he's missed, he's been real close.
Yeah, he hung that breaking ball to Tolman, and ever since then that slider has been much more consistent near the outside corner and low.
1-1, same place. He got him swinging this time.
Which goes back to that get him earlier, you don't get him, you know, because a pitcher like Reben, who depends on that sharp control, you get over the early inning anxieties, the jitters in a big game like this, and you kind of settle in a little more relaxed, better control.
1-2 to Troy Tolman with Paul Carey at second. Pickoff play. Carey's back. Alfonso covering from second. You get a runner on, it's almost mandatory that you have a pickoff play for him. 1-2 the count to Troy Tolman, the sophomore catcher. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Reben has fanned 3 through 3 2/3 innings.
Well, show them you can get the breaking ball over, and they're conscious of that. And then even with an average fastball, you get it right past them. That's pitching.
Now it's up to Roger Burnett, who was 0 for 1. And his struggle against Georgia. Well, he's found a home on that corner at the knees.
As